and Jeff is supposed to meet this week, I think tomorrow, with
The iHeart guys.
the Tallahassee guy who's actually the bigger player of the two. It's kind of like a 60-40 thing. But he's the guy who has wanted Jeff for 15 years. So I mean, we all know it takes two sides to make a deal, but when both sides say they want it and really want it, and they can't do it without each other, I mean, if it doesn't come to fruition, it'd be laughable. I mean, it'd be par for the course for us, but it'd be laughable.
What's the number of that truck driving school?
Yeah. Got that right. I think Target in Jacksonville is offering up to $25 an hour.
Seconds.
If I have to wear the little red outfits, though, I don't think I could do it. But even though red's my favorite color.
A lot of red, though.
I know it is. It is. It makes you feel almost Salvation Army-ish. Morning, gentlemen.
10 seconds.
Well, you're catching it today, Vikings fan. By the way, if you're an average Vikings fan, your glass half empty.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning for those who enjoyed President's Day off. Well, this is the start of your week, and thanks for doing so with us as we ask the question, how the heck are you? Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Mark, how was your President's Day?
My President's Day was pretty uneventful. You know, just we did a little working. Had the daughter was off school, so hung with her for the day. Wife got out a little early, watched a little full swing. A pretty good day for me.
So you didn't grab the daughter and head to the Panthers game?
We did not.
We did not. 1 o'clock hockey. Wondering if anybody took us up on that. I mean, you know, rallied from a 2-0 deficit, a late 3-2 deficit, won in overtime with an absolutely must-need 2 points.
Such a big win.
Home by dinner. I mean, you know, that's a day right there.
I know 6 people care about the Florida Panthers, but that was a big win for them.
Absolutely a must. A must as they try to hold on or grab the final playoff spot in the jam-packed Eastern Conference. But an eventful day yesterday in the sports world. Mark, every now and then does something happen in which you just pull over on the side of the road, or you're stopped at a traffic light and you look around and you go, we've been talking about this for 15 years. So they're finally getting around to this? Or, you know, everybody nationally is making a big deal and it makes us feel even smaller than we are, in which we go, my goodness, we've done like 300 shows on this.
Every bit of 300 shows.
I mean, when I heard the news yesterday about, you know, these college football games are taking too long, and we need to come up with some proposals to make them shorter.
Wow. I mean, I don't know. We've been offering these up for the better part of 8 years.
At least. I think we spent that many years ahead of the curve saying there's a problem with length of games, and everybody else going, man, what is wrong with you two? There's nothing wrong with the length of a college football game. Everything's just fine. Oh, man. I don't even know why we never, well, shouldn't say never, but hardly ever talk once the show is done. We cover a lot of ground personally and professionally in the roughly 4 hours and 15 to 4.5 hours that we have the ability to communicate with one another. Occasionally, we will text one another between like 10:15 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. the next morning. But I was dialing. Okay, I really was. I had your number right there, and I was about to hit it, and I'm like, I got to talk to him. I got to do a segment. I got to get this off my chest. And I thought, if I call him, okay, and I thought, he's probably hanging out with his daughter. She doesn't have school today. And if I call him and they're in the middle of something, and all of a sudden she'll be looking at him going, Daddy, why are you doing a segment on the phone? So I didn't call you, but man, I wanted to. College football executives are very concerned about the length of games, and they've come up with 4 proposals to potentially shorten the games. Man.
Well, one of them's bat blank crazy, by the way.
Well, by college football standards, it is.
By football standards, it is.
Well, Mark, it's soccer. Okay, the proposal is basically soccer. Okay, the one. Once we start that clock, that sucker's going to keep running.
I mean, let's slow down a little bit here.
Well, see, I think that's where you throw it up on the board, okay, knowing full well, we're not going to adopt that one, but you get them to adopt a couple in the middle there.
And it looks as if college football will expedite their games a touch more quickly coming up this year.
Wow. What a concept. What an idea. I mean, honestly, it's as if they went away on a retreat and somebody said, I think our games are too long. I was just thinking about that the other day. Yeah, we had a game last year. I didn't get out of the office till nearly 8:00 at night.
Because for 6 years, it was Miller, Moulton, Chris Fowler, and Michael Felder. That was it.
Period. And 2 of us don't count.
And really 3. I mean, Michael's a good writer, good reporter, right, but he doesn't have the national cachet to get anything done. And Fowler couldn't. I mean, no one listened to him.
Not even Herb Street. No. Kirk was like, what are you talking about? I love these games. But then they got a few, bad primetime games that took forever. Herb Street's got a long week, and even Kirk started to go, these games are taking. And Chris was kind of looking at him like, yeah, you think? Think maybe we can shorten these suckers a little bit?
I've seen Djokovic 5 setters that last less the time than these things.
Don't laugh. When they filled in and did an NFL game, I think it was 2 years ago, and they talked about it even afterwards, in which they're like, man, you do an NFL game and then you do a college game. A college game seems like it's a whole other quarter.
Because it is.
It can be.
Between the 3 to 8 more minutes of halftime, depending.
It's 7 to 8. Every college halftime's 20. And it used to, a few places, stretch longer. But the one thing college football did in the last couple of years was they kind of legislated, all the conferences agreed, 20 minutes. Exactly. You got 20, which is up from 18. When I started 18 years ago with CBS, it was an 18-minute halftime.
But sometimes that clock would just stop.
Or they wouldn't start it. And then they'd start it, and you go, oh, it's 18 minutes from now. Interesting. The band's already on the field. In fact, I think they just started playing.
They've got a long set today, David.
Well, both bands, Mark. Remember, It's both bands. Steve Shaw, who's used to be the head of SEC officiating and now is the head of officiating as a whole in college football, he is even on the record in the last year as saying, yeah, if you think we're taking the bands out of college football, you're crazy, okay? I ain't putting up with that heat.
No one would want to. I will say it is the one little part that fans at home may not care about. A lot of the fans at the game may not care about. But the work that the band puts in, they get their 10 minutes. I don't know what to tell you. They've earned it.
I mean, Alabama bills the band as it is marching onto the field as the $1 Million Band. And Ohio State, to quote Jim Tressel, when they won the national title, he said, and I just want to, thank the best damn band in the land. Okay. And I think for a few years, that's how they introduced themselves when they came out. The best damn band in the land.
So they're not going anywhere.
They're not cutting their routine shorter. No. We're the band. We get our time, damn it. Deal with it. Run that clock if you have to. We're playing our 3 songs each.
But they're looking to not stop after first downs. That's the big change that's coming.
Hey, think about it. Growing up, what were the 2 big differences, college to pro? They stopped the clock after first downs, 1 foot versus 2. Forever, Mark, when I was a kid, that was it. That was the difference between Saturdays and Sundays. That and marching bands. Although for the longest time, at an NFL game, they'd find a local band and let them play 2 songs. That was your halftime entertainment. I went to many a Giants game in which they had a high school band that would come out and do 2 numbers. Then the NFL even stopped with that. They're like, no, nothing. You get nothing. You get an empty field. Go to the John. Get your beer.
Beer, hot dog, bathroom. That's what you're supposed to do at halftime. You've got 12 minutes.
That's right.
Let's keep it peppy.
Talk to one another. Okay? Call someone. Whatever. Mark, I'm not kidding. When the Colts left Baltimore, all right, the Baltimore Colts band stayed in existence, and they used to play NFL games as the Baltimore Colts marching band. And I saw many a Giants, Jets, Eagles game when halftime we welcome the Baltimore Colts marching band. And it's like, really?
Who else had the Redskins had a band, right?
Yeah.
The Redskins had a band. And I can say that because they were the Redskins when they had a band.
Correct. But I mean, the Colts band would travel. I mean, just to do 2 songs at halftime. And we'd all be like, what the heck are they doing? Don't they realize the ship has sailed, literally? I mean, moving vans and everything.
Yeah, they never became the Ravens marching band.
No, they did not. And I don't know if they were ever asked to play in Indianapolis. Don't know if they ever wanted to.
How many teams have a marching band?
Don't know.
0, I believe.
Well, okay, so I thought the Ravens had a band, but it's not like a real band. It's
Well,
not like
I don't.
a football band.
I don't know. I don't. I honestly, I cannot recall ever seeing a band at halftime in the last 5 years that have been at NFL games. So, just like not every team has cheerleaders. Like the Giants don't have cheerleaders. I don't think the Browns have cheerleaders. I mean, there's I think 6 teams that don't have cheerleaders. But I don't know if any of them have bands anymore.
It was very 60s and 70s.
Yes.
It definitely went out with the times, and that's probably a good thing.
I mean, that's, when the Rose Bowl parade and all that, were big. Marching bands. The Orange Bowl parade, remember? Had to watch that. That was prime time. That'd be the night before the game. It's a big deal. Nita Bryant and everything. Look that up. That'll date me. Whew. Man, that'll date me. Look at this road we just went down.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how to take a fork in the road right now.
You know what? We're going to ask the band to leave. That's what we're going to. Your time is up. Now it's back to the second half.
Miller and Moulton. Text lines open at 21,000. Great show lined up for you today. David Samson making his weekly appearance. And the starting five is a mere 25 minutes away right here on Miller and Moulton. You're listening to the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. The Denver Nuggets coach said that was the worst basketball. That said the All-Star game was the worst basketball game ever played.
Yeah, Mike Malone. He's not wrong.
I would have to add 2 words: by adults.
By adults.
Because anytime you go to a little kid's basketball game, it's the most painful experience that there is on earth.
Yeah. After a particularly bad All-Star game this year, Twitter is just crying for the old days.
It's Fat Tuesday, David.
I keep on seeing highlights of the 2001 NBA All-Star game on Twitter. And people are like, we need this kind of All-Star game. Final score of that All-Star game was 111 to 110.
It's National Pancake Day, and it's Fat Tuesday.
Nice.
As of last year, there were 7 NFL teams that did not have cheerleaders, by the way. The Giants and Browns have never had cheerleaders.
Who are the others?
Steelers, Packers, although the Packers will occasionally bring in local, like, high school cheerleaders. But Bills, Bears, Browns, Packers, Giants, Chargers, Steelers as of last year.
How do the Chargers not have cheerleaders?
What?
They don't have fans.
That's true.
But now
Every other team cold, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But LA, come on. There's a fun made-up poll question. What do you need first, fans or cheerleaders? Both would help.
It's not a bad idea, Paul. Hand out your Offensive Lineman of the Year award on National Pancake Day.
1 minute.
Thank you for the info, Drew, about the Ravens.
$15 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. David Samson's weekly visit is 40 minutes away. We always look forward to that. There will be no Pat Kerwin today. Something came up late for Pat. He's offered his services for later in the week. We'll probably take him up on that. But Matt Baker of the Tampa Bay Times will join us in the 8 o'clock hour as we go a little more in depth about potential changes to, well, college football, the game as a whole, and whether or not they're going to eliminate some plays and shorten it. And Chris Perkins, columnist in South Florida, talk a little Dolphins. Vic Fangio had a presser yesterday. They signed somebody else's defensive coordinator. I mean, I have to admit, spent a lot of money on coaches on the defensive side of the ball. So we'll talk about college football, a little Dolphins in our 8 o'clock hour. Did you catch what Adam Silver had to say NBA All-Star Weekend?
I read some of what he had to say.
Did it concern you, or did you think he was playing the PR game when he was asked specifically about quote-unquote load management, and he treated it almost the same way Roger Goodell treated NFL officiating? What are you talking about? We don't have a load management problem. All right, things are fine. And the whole room's looking around at each other going, what did he just say? Like when Rod said, NFL officiating's never been better. The whole room looked at each other and said, that's his quote, right?
It's fascinating to me because load management started by the teams, not by the players. And it's a combination of both groups who use it. It is perceived as a player's problem, as players are lazy, as players don't play hurt. They're not doing it the way they used to. When in fact, it's the team and the player doing it in conjunction with one another, and sometimes the team doing it without the player, wanting to rest guys. We've changed the way we deal with injuries. So that's what Adam Silver presented. It's like it's a different world than it was 20, 30 years ago. I don't know what to tell you.
Do you believe that it's a problem? Like, do
I think
you
it's a
believe?
huge problem.
Okay, because Adam Silver, who is the commissioner of the league, I mean, there's a lot you can criticize Rob Manfred about. Rob Manfred, however, since pretty much day 3 on the job, has been pretty concerned about some of the things going on in baseball. I mean, Rob Manfred has been the driving force behind the rule changes that are being put into effect in Major League Baseball this decade. The shift, wanting to get the running game back, shortening games, times in between pitches and what have you. I mean, for better or worse, that's all coming from Rob Manfred. He said this is a problem. The player said it wasn't. Rob said, yeah, it is. And he started at the minors, and he has systematically worked his way through 2 negotiations, and now he is getting what he wants.
You and I have talked about this outside of contractually incentivizing players to play. I'm not sure exactly what Adam Silver can do. You would have to admit, David, that what Manfred did in baseball and what Silver could potentially do in basketball, it's 2 different things. One was changing rules. The other one's changing a mentality.
Yes. And that's what has hit me, Mark, that when the next generation has just completely changed their view about life and the pursuit of happiness, if you will, how in the world do you change that unless you impact their wallet? One of the guys in the All-Star game, I forget his name, but he was asked about the quality of the game, and he looked right at the person and said, well, then the NBA needs to dig into their wallet and pay us a lot more money to play harder.
Not only that, but you're interrupting the players' vacations too.
Oh my goodness!
I know. It's just
God forbid.
I know.
They don't want $100 to play in a season, and they're honored by being in an All-Star game, and we mess up with their vacation.
They don't want to go to Utah.
Oh my gosh!
They don't want to go to Utah.
Well, first off, it really wouldn't matter where the game's played. If they don't want to go, they don't want to go. Okay. By the way, it was 60 degrees in Salt Lake. Apparently, people were walking down the street in T-shirts. Apparently, it was a beautiful weekend for what it's worth. And nobody plays until Thursday. And they're not allowed to have a practice until 3 o'clock Wednesday. It's in the CBA. The guys do not have to return to their teams before 3 o'clock on Wednesday. And remember, most of the league's not in the All-Star game. And even those that are still get 2.5 to 3.5 days because there's only a handful of games on Thursday. But it's an attitude. The feeling has changed. Very few wear it as a badge of honor anymore to show up and play every night. They don't feel that's actually part of the job description. They're the worker who, quite frankly, has about 6 weeks vacation. If you have that much vacation time and that much seniority, you can treat work differently.
And that's where we are. And I don't know. Again, if you incentivize contracts for games played and money, that to me is the only way to change this.
And let's be honest, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. They'd have to shut down the sport. Now, Barkley came out and said during All-Star weekend, he goes, we're going to have a lockout in a year. He goes, the owners are fed up. He said they're fed up with the players. They're sick of this. Okay. And he believes the sport's going to get shut down over the problems. The next day, Adam Silver's up on the podium going, what the heck are you talking about? We're fine. Everything's fine. I mean, they play 82 games in a season, and if you play in 70 of the 82, you're like, wow, that guy shows up to play.
Yeah, you're going to get the Iron Man award.
Damn near. And listen, Mark, until it affects attendance, until it affects ratings, it's one thing for our generation to be offended by load management. That's very easy to understand and explain. It's if they turn off Felipe. And this weekend turned Felipe off. Okay. I mean, so if you're the NBA, when you got 22-year-old hoop head in Felipe, who, if he had $100 left in the world, would spend it on NBA League Pass. Okay. When he's now offended by at least 3 days of your 200+ day product. Okay. That's a start.
But load management's never bothered you, has it?
No, it has. I mean,
enough to not watch? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes. If a player is out because of this, okay, I'm not watching the game.
Okay.
It's Lakers Clippers at 10, but LeBron's not playing. Okay, my interest has immediately left.
Okay, there's a start.
I'm going to go to sleep instead. That's what I'm going to do.
But Felipe, that's important. That's a start.
Yeah, turning it off is the biggest thing you can do to get change, because if ratings start declining, then they will start looking at it. Otherwise, they'll keep on keeping it. And they're coming up on a TV deal, so they've got to try to make their product as appealing to the masses as humanly possible, because they're trying to get the checks.
But Adam Silver's laughing at both of us going, did you hear what NBC said last week? NBC basically said if ESPN or Turner's not interested, we'll pay the going rate.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686. Or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Ambient heat, you're a day late. We had the Broncos assistant head coach on the show yesterday, Mike Westhoff.
Whew.
You can watch, you can watch any of the old shows right on here, or you can go to Florida Sports Network and download it. But yeah, all of the old shows should be right on our Twitch channel. It's on yesterday's show. It was at 8:30 our time, so we're on for 4 hours. So it was in the third hour.
What do we have at 8:30 yesterday?
This ambient heat that just joins a Nuggets or as a Colorado guy. So we just had we had their new assistant head coach on the show yesterday with Westhoff as a Broncos fan. Yeah.
Ah.
Just got a stat up right now on ESPN. Five players last year played every game.
In the NBA?
Yeah.
There was only one All-Star that has played every game leading up to the All-Star break, and it was Julius Randle.
Yeah, the Knicks don't do load management. Tom Thibodeau's the head coach.
Exactly. Tibbs.
But that that brings up a whole other thing. You're going to hire a coach that does that, or are you going to get free agents if you have a coach that doesn't believe in load management? I mean, there's
no doubt. It's another reason why, Brunson signed with the Knicks because he always wanted to be a Knick. And his dad played for the Knicks and was an assistant with the Knicks, and they hired him back. And
they had that. I watched that full swing. Because they kind of go all over the place. It's not really in sequential order, if you know what I mean, time wise. But because they've done a couple on the PGA, but they had Pereira choking the PGA yesterday and then talking to him after, and that's pretty good.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anthony Edwards has also played every game this year, so 2 All-Stars.
But DC, they'd never cut playoff teams. It's revenue. You got to think in terms of you're trying to make decisions that would affect the owner's revenue. They will never cut their revenue.
I mean, that's the reason. I mean, almost everyone associated with the NBA believes the league would be better off reducing the number of games to 70 or 72. But neither side will take the cut.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us on this day after President's Day. Hope your week is off to a good start, whether you worked or not. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. David Samson make his weekly appearance at the top of the hour. We'll talk plenty of football in our 8 o'clock hour. Matt Baker of the Tampa Bay Times, some big proposed changes to college football and their pace of play. And Dolphins spending about as much money on a defensive coaching staff as we've ever seen. We'll talk to Chris Perkins who covers the South Florida sports scene. Terrific columnist. He'll join us about 2 hours from now. Between now and then, it is time for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting Five on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
And we'll start with the NFL, Mark. Dolphins defense coordinator Vic Fangio met with the media yesterday for the first time. Told everybody why it was that he chose Miami. Of course, becoming the highest paid assistant coach in the history of the league. Probably near the top of the list. But also talked about, expectations, that sort of deal. And mentioned that, oh, by the way, we've just hired Chargers defensive coordinator Ronaldo Hill. Mark, he was coordinator kind of sort of name only because Brandon Staley, much like Andy Reid calls the offensive plays, well, Brandon Staley calls the defensive signals for the Chargers. So those that were mocking the signing about, hiring the Chargers defensive coordinator, gave up a 4-touchdown lead to the Jags. Well, he wasn't the one calling the defensive signals, though. And notice he didn't get fired. Staley said he let him go because he's worked for Fangio and he has so much respect for him and for Hill that's why he let him go. Oh, all right. Hill, by the way, played for the Dolphins and was an assistant coach with them just 5 years ago. Colts hired Jags assistant Jim Bob Cooter as their offensive coordinator.
One of the 10 greatest names in coaching history.
Isn't that fantastic?
Maybe top 5.
So there you have it. Red McCombs died yesterday, 95 years old. And this could be a football story because he owned the Vikings from like 98 into the middle of the 2000s. There was a lot of concern amongst Vikings fans that he was going to move the team to San Antonio because he is Mr. San Antonio sports. In fact, he named the basketball team. When he bought the team and moved them to San Antonio, he's the one who called them the Spurs. And many people believe he named them the Spurs because he grew up in Spur, S-P-U-R, Texas. So McCombs, who owned the Spurs and the Vikings, passed away yesterday at the age of 95. Giants quarterback Daniel Jones, Mark, he's changing his agent, but also reportedly he's asking for $45 million a year.
Maybe his agent fired him. Maybe he didn't really change agents. When he said that to his original agent, they went, "What? For you? You might need to have someone else represent you, sir."
So basically, he and his agent came out and said, do you see where the salary cap's going? I mean, you're going to try to pigeonhole me in at a certain salary, and 18 months from now, that's going to be laughable. So if you want to pigeonhole me in at a certain rate, well, with where the salary cap is going, that rate's going to be more like 45. Basically, Daniel Jones and his agent is kind of getting you prepared for Joe Burrow's contract. We'll see if the Giants bite. You can tag a quarterback, by the way, and the price tag is 32.4. So this may just change the Giants' way of thinking that they were going to sign Jones and tag Barkley and get him at $10 million a year. Instead, they may have to sign Barkley and tag Jones. So we'll see. Today, by the way, is the first day, Mark, that you can place a tag, either a transition or a franchise tag, on a player. You have between today and March 7th to do so. So you got 2 weeks, and then a week goes by between then and the start of the new NFL business year. NBA, Giannis, ligament sprain in his right wrist. Apparently, it's a deal with the pain injury. If they had to play today, he wouldn't be playing. But they don't have to play until the end of the week. We'll see if Giannis, who likes to play every game, by the way, he's not a load management guy.
Yet.
Kevin Love officially signing with the Heat. They also signed Cody Zeller a 6'11 center who's been out of the league this year. Myers Leonard, former Miami Heat, has not played in the league in 2 years since he was caught with an anti-Semitic slur while playing a video game. He's been out of the league since March of 2021. He was injured at the time. He's obviously been healthy, but nobody signed him. Milwaukee signed him to a 10-day contract. Russell Westbrook is going to sign with the Clippers. Patrick Beverley is going to sign with the Bulls. They're 2 games out of the play-in the East. College hoops, the Canes are ranked 13th in the AP, 11th in the coaches poll. Thank you very much. FAU dropped out of the rankings, Mark, with their loss last week. Kansas went on the road. Do what the Jayhawks do. They win close, tough, tight Big 12 games. They beat 24th ranked TCU 63-58. Bethune and FAMU winners on the road. Bethune and FAMU women were losers on the road. The women's AP rankings came out yesterday. Florida State, the only in-state team ranked, they're 23rd. The coaches poll comes out today. South Florida and FGCU may join them in the coaches poll rankings later today. Hockey, Panthers trail 2-0 after 3-2 with 6 minutes to go in the third. Rallied to tie it and then win it. Carter Verhaeghe with the game winner in overtime is 30th. 4-3 Panthers over the Ducks. Florida, Mark, a point ahead of Pittsburgh for the final playoff spot, but the Penguins have 4 games in hand. Islanders did the Panthers a favor, I should say, by beating Pittsburgh 4-2 yesterday.
And even more of a hand that they got it done in regulation. I mean, that was the big part. With those 2 teams playing, you can't really afford a lot of shootout overtime games where 3 points are getting distributed of teams that are ahead of you or right with you in the standings.
And the win by the Islanders vaulted them ahead of the Panthers. So right now the Islanders and the Panthers are the 2 wild cards in the East. But Mark, just try to play this on for size. The Panthers technically are the 8 seed this morning. But the Penguins are a point back and they have 4 games in hand. Washington's 2 points back. They have 2 games in hand. Buffalo's 4 points back with 6 games in hand. The Wings are 4 points back with 5 games in hand. So that's why when we say the Panthers need all these points, yeah, the only thing that has them in the playoffs right now is the standings, if you know what I mean. I think right now you'd rather be any of those other teams with all the games that they have in hand on the Panthers. Other NHL scores, the Bruins won.
There's a shocker.
I know. They lost 8 regulation games out of
Although it was Ottawa who's beaten them twice this year. Of the 8, Ottawa's been their nemesis this year, for crying out loud.
And Ottawa's actually playing really good hockey, making a late playoff push here. Winnipeg went into the Garden and beat the Rangers 4-1. Philly over Calgary 4-3. San Jose shut out the Kraken 4-0. And then we turn our attention to college football. We will get into this in a big way probably after we talk to David Samson in 15 minutes. But the folks in charge of college football apparently have been talking, and they are going to recommend 4 changes to reduce the number of plays in a college football game. Why do they want to reduce the number of plays? 2 reasons. Quote unquote, safety. And to reduce the length of the game.
There you go. Because that's what the networks want.
There you go. Now we're talking. So here are the 4 proposals. You decide which ones you'd sign off on. Number 1, you can't have consecutive timeouts anymore. Like you can't call 2-3 in a row to ice a kicker. If you call a timeout and then all of a sudden the play clock's winding down, you want to call a second one, you can't do it. You just can't call consecutive timeouts. I'm totally in favor of that. This hardly ever comes into play, but actually at the end of the first and third quarters, if the defense commits a penalty, you can have an untimed down. All right, they said, no more untimed downs. Basically, if that happens, it'll be the first play of the next quarter. Okay. Clock continues to run after a first down, except when we have less than 2 minutes to go in both halves. That's the biggie. That's the biggie. So no holding the clock for 6, 7, 8, 12 seconds, whatever it takes to move the chains and set the ball. Nope. Like the NFL, baby. Just run out of bounds. Okay, 40, 39, 38. Let's go. And then number 4, the clock continues to run even after incomplete passes once they spot the ball. So incomplete, they track down the new ball and what have you. They throw it in. The official places it on the hash, looks around. Okay, let's go. Wind the play clock. Game clock, actually.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
No.
The other 3 will.
Just throwing this out there, and we will get into this in greater detail. The average college football game is 3 hours and 23 minutes. That includes halftime. It's gone up 5 minutes in the last 5 years. Now, you may see a stat out there that says the games are longer than that. That technically includes a bunch of games that had weather delays. Okay, if you take out the games that were delayed by weather, lightning, snow, or what have you, just 3 hours, 23 minutes. That includes halftime. That's 5 minutes longer than it was 5 years ago. Average NFL game for the record, 3:12 this past year. There's a 7-minute difference in halftime. 12, 13 minutes is an NFL halftime. 20 is a college halftime. So the 11-minute difference, 7 of it's halftime. Just telling you.
And that's not going away.
No. The other delay, though, is an NFL game, a 1 o'clock game kicks off at 1:01. A 3:30 game kicks off between 3:38 and 3:45, depending on how big the game is and the network that's carrying it. So that's, you add it all up, and that's why these games are not fitting in the 3 hour and 30-minute window. Average game's 3:23. Well, they ain't kicking it off at 3:30. They're kicking it off at 3:40. So now all of a sudden, the game goes past 7 o'clock. 14 more plays in a college football game, okay, than in an NFL game, by the way. 14 more offensive plays. So then add up how many more special teams plays gets thrown in because of those 14. A couple more punts, a couple more extra points, whatever the case may be. And that, at 8 minutes before the hour, was...
That was the Starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
The Tampa Bay Bucks, for the record, ran the most plays of any team in the league last year in the NFL. They averaged 69 plays a game. That's not even average in college football. The average college football team runs 70 plays a game. Georgia and Alabama, by the way, both ran 70 plays per game on average.
And what's the NFL average? If the Bucks were at the most, is there an average for the NFL?
63. Average college team runs 70. The high was Texas Tech at 89, but they're the outlier because the second team was 80. So basically, college football was between 80 and 59. The NFL was between 69 and 57. Carolina ran the fewest plays per game at 57.
That gives you a little perspective on, one, just how close it is in the NFL, the variance in college because of the styles, but even the Bucks, who were as pass happy as anybody, only running that many more plays than Carolina, who is obviously a more run-oriented team. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening. David Samson is next right here on the Florida Sports Network. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
That's funny, average Vikings fan.
Oh, let's put our guest up.
Morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How are you? How was your weekend? Did you work
I've been looking at
yesterday?
you guys for 4 minutes. It's pretty funny being backstage. Yes, I did. We don't take many days off. I don't know why. I love doing the show, so I don't need the days off. It's like a routine. I'm a routine guy.
We contractually screwed up. Okay. Our syndicator has it in the contract that we are responsible to provide a show every day. So if we take
61 days, how many episodes?
Basically, so we have to provide a show every day. So if we don't work, we have to provide a best of. Well, David, we don't even think we're good enough to do 4 hours a day. We have to then provide a best of. I mean, so that's why we end up, I mean, Thanksgiving, Christmas,
including federal holidays?
Yeah.
Yeah, we do best. We put best ofs for that, but.
So, I mean, there's like 5 days a year that we provide a best of, and otherwise we do a show.
Wait, how many shows a year do you do?
Well, let's see, 52 times 5 is 260. I'll bet you we do at least 250.
Yeah, so do I.
At least.
There's always stuff to talk about, though.
Well, there is.
But it's hard. 4 hours every day, what you guys do. Do you take callers at all?
No, we're not set up to.
I like it. It's better.
There are days, though, really big days. And also sometimes one, like an awful caller derails a show.
Mm-hmm.
But a good caller, you can do a whole segment on.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I don't take callers either.
30 seconds.
I used to take a lot. Mark was the one who taught me that callers, for the most part, are a tune-off. But I do think we should have like an 888 Florida number and really scream the call and fit like 2 strategic calls a show in.
I think that's what Levitard's doing on one of his segments.
10 seconds. There we go.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And at this day and time, that means David Samson, he of the daily podcast, simply called Nothing Personal with David Samson. You can follow him, CBS Sports HQ, CBSSports.com, and on Twitter, David, the letter P. Samson, David P. Samson. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
Top of the morning. It's my favorite day of the week.
Why is nobody has Tuesday as their favorite day of the week?
I actually love talking to you guys every Tuesday. So I actually disagree with you because Tuesday, I'm a day away from Wednesday, and I'm past the weekend enough that I'm not thinking about it, and I'm close enough to the next weekend where I'm ready to think about it. And then I get you guys every morning. I love it.
Well, I'm curious. We were talking a little bit about this in our last segment because you think beyond things of baseball, you think all sports. And Adam Silver just got done basically saying his league is fine. Load management is fine. Getting players healthy is the most important thing. Can you fix this, David? I mean, this to us is a very difficult fix. We've talked about putting it contractually where contracts are tied to games played. That's going to be a tough one to get through the union. How do you fix load management?
Well, first, let me tell you why he did that. So they're in the middle of negotiating a collective bargaining agreement. So either side can opt out by the end of March, and they're trying to get a new deal done so neither side opts out. So when you're making public statements and you're the commissioner during the time of negotiation, everything that you're saying publicly, you're not talking to your audience. You're actually talking to the other side. So in this case, what he was saying is we're talking to the players, and he doesn't want to let out that load management is a very big deal because he doesn't want to trade something to get back any concessions in the load management area. So very common what he would say. That said, the reason why load management is actually a big deal is not because people buy a ticket and then can't see a player. Because in baseball, as an example, you could have the best hitter sitting for a day. You don't know. You hope that the starting pitcher who you're buying a ticket for is going to be the starter, but then there's openers and there could be injuries. You just never know. But what he really is talking about is the owners being upset that the value of the regular season has been diminished. If players don't care about the regular season, why should fans pay for or sponsors pay to be a part of the regular season? That's what they really have to deal with because that impacts the revenue, and the player's salary is tied to that revenue, so they're actually incentivized to deal with it as well. So it is a very much an issue they're discussing at the table right now, and they're going to deal with it. My solution, which is what you asked a minute ago, is not tying it to postseason awards at all. My solution is actually to shorten the regular season. I believe that if you played a 70-game season, much like in baseball playing a 154-game season, I think that would be more beneficial. And I think that having more incentives for advantages during the playoffs for performance during the regular season would make a difference. Because at the end of the day, the more players win, the more they get paid, and the more revenue the league gets, and therefore the more money the players get to share. So something that would make the regular season more meaningful. Last thing, Giannis, the worst quote of all time for a collective bargaining agreement. He said, I don't care if we're the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed. It doesn't really matter to me. That is not what you want. You want teams fighting for the highest possible playoff seed, and that's going to be addressed as well during the CBA negotiation.
Well, and Kevin Durant saying it's great that players can just wake up and decide that they want to change teams. He literally said it's a great thing for the NBA. I got to admit, I would not want to be an NBA owner right now. I feel as if I've lost the power, and I don't know how, once I lose it, I get it back besides shutting down the sport.
So let me ask you, do you guys have contracts right now? Is that true or not true?
That's true.
So right now, could you wake up and say, you know what? I'd rather be on my competitor's station. Do you have that ability or no?
That's a good one.
No, not till October.
Right. So once your deal runs out, then you're able to switch and decide if you want to work for a competitor. That's the difference between being an at-will employee, which means there's no contract, or being a contracted employee, which means that you've been guaranteed money. At the end of the day, what a contract is for regular people like us is a severance deal, meaning if you get fired, you get paid out the rest of your contract if you're not fired for cause. And what Kevin Durant was saying is very dangerous, actually, and that's what's happening in the NBA. These players are getting guaranteed contracts, and then in the middle saying, you know what, I don't want to work for this guy, I want to work for his competitor. And then they make it that it has to be that way because they get so, I don't know, entitled. So that is something that also is going to be at the bargaining table because owners don't want to put money into a player, market him, and figure out ways to promote him, and then they wake up one day and say, I'd rather play for the Lakers.
I want to go back to your original thought about a 70-game season and a 154-game season in baseball because we typically don't go backwards. You know, money's tied to number of games played. Do you think that's something that's feasible to shorten the number of games? Because the players and owners still want theirs. Can they still get theirs by shortening the schedule?
So we studied this in baseball, and the reason why we didn't get from 162 to 154, and I was on the committee that did it, is that the teams who sell out every game, they were going to lose 4 home games. And they wanted to be paid back as though they were selling out those 4 home games because their view is that they're missing out on 4 games of ticket revenue. And they thought that sponsorship deals would decrease because there were only, instead of 81 home games, 77 home games. And I called horse hockey on that. And the reason I did is all teams go through ups and downs in attendance, and it generally will come out in the wash, and you have to do what's best for the industry. But I wasn't able to get the votes because Central Baseball was not willing to pay the Giants or the Yankees, which is ironic because the Yankees don't sell it every game, for the missed 4 games. But in basketball and baseball, there's a big difference coming, and that's the local RSNs are going bankrupt, which means that having that many games available for broadcast, which was another big deal, that's no longer an issue because those contracts are going to disappear into the night and the leagues will have a chance to reformulate how they do their local TV. So I think now is actually the best time for these sports to start looking at smaller, shorter regular seasons.
Which takes us to where we wanted to go, which was baseball announcing over the weekend that they're forming this committee, which you said it could be the most important thing that Manfred does during however long he is going to be commissioner. First off, is it because the Mets are spending $400 million, or is it because Bally's is going to bankrupt? Why are they doing this committee?
So the Economic Reform Committee was just formed by Commissioner Rob Manfred, and they're claiming it was formed because they want to figure out the new TV world, how to get games broadcast to their audience and how to maximize that revenue, given the fact that the local RSN model is really gone and they're going bankrupt because people are cutting the cord. And then there's a mention, we also have to look at the payroll disparity and the revenue disparity in the game. Well, in our industry, what that's called is they buried the lead, L-E-D-E. And they buried it hard because owners are after Steve Cohn. And Rob Manfred knows very well that to be a good commissioner and to get bonuses and extensions and stay there as long as you want, you can't have owners fighting, because owners fighting leads to a lack of not just cohesion, but an inability to get a new collective bargaining agreement. And while we just had the lockout and the new CBA isn't up until 25-26, guess what? They're starting now. And the owners on this committee are charged with figuring out how to deal with Steve Cohn and the fact that his payroll is so high, and then the lowest payroll is 50 and the highest payroll is 400, basically. That's not good for a sport, and they're trying to get a salary cap, a salary floor. So this committee is going to matter. We're going to watch it over the course of the next few years, but I would say it's not a great sign for labor peace.
Do you think that there's any chance this time for a salary cap and salary floor? Because the hardest part, and you've explained this before, Dave, it's not the cap. It's the teams that don't spend of them getting to the floor. And there are several teams who don't spend nearly what they would have to if there were a floor put in.
Well, you heard what Rob said. Rob said in poker, you have to ante. So maybe we make a floor where teams have to ante a certain amount in order to play. Guess what? They've thought of that before. And the issue for teams like the Marlins and the Rays and the Guardians and the Royals is that they wanted to be paid by Central Baseball in terms of more revenue sharing in order to make up the difference between a reasonable payroll where they can break even and the payroll needed for a floor. Not all 30 teams can afford to be at a floor at the level that's required for the players to approve it in a negotiation. So that's really the issue of what they're going to do. But right now, that's on the back burner as they figure out what to do with the RSNs and figure out what to do with Steve Cohn.
Do you think, by the way, that these teams can make more money post the RSN world? Do you think that there's actually more money to be made by individually streaming an individual pay-per-view? Maybe I pay $1.99 per game. Do you actually think there's more money to be made that way, or basically has the gravy train just ended for the Rays and Marlins in terms of local TV revenue?
Today, no, unfortunately, David. But going forward, I think there will be a way that they will be able to monetize their rights and make more than they're doing now as an industry. But individual teams, I'll tell you right now, if they go to a pay-for-play, meaning if you want to watch a Rays game, you pay for just the Rays, they will not get to where their rights deal is with Fox Sports Florida, neither the Rays nor the Marlins. So this is a fascinating situation because there are teams where I don't think there'll be as big a problem for the larger market teams where they will be able to make up the difference. But teams like the Rays and the Marlins, if those deals go away, which they may hear soon, that's going to be an issue for their cash flow. It will be made up by Central Baseball. They're not telling you that, but it's going to happen. But after next year, we'll see what happens.
We've got about a minute left. Could this mean more teams for sale? I mean, is this the type of money that could cause owners to sell teams, David?
It's funny you say that because if I'm owning a team right now, no, because I want to see how this shakes out, because right now you're seeing what happened with the Angels and the Nationals. They're not getting the price they want because of the uncertainty in the broadcast world. Therefore, I'm not selling now. That's like panic selling at the low. I want to wait to see what the new world is. If you were going to sell at the height, you sell in 2017 before COVID, before anything. That's a little slap back to what I did. But that said, that was just lucky. We didn't know it was going to happen. But now you're not selling because you're not getting the maximum value that you want, because a buyer doesn't know what they're getting in terms of local broadcast revenue.
We always wish we had more time. It's David Samson. His daily podcast is Nothing Personal with David Samson. It's that simple. CBS Sports HQ, CBSSports.com. Follow him on Twitter, where he's a great follow, at David, the letter P. Samson, David P. Samson. Have a great week.
I can't wait for next Tuesday.
It's apparently your favorite day.
It is.
David Samson joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton.
It is uncertain times in these sports with all these RSNs. This is going to be fascinating how this shakes out because, as he said, teams are now taking a huge cash clip, and how they come out of it will be next.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. David, I've got the power rankings for the Honda Classic up. Sungjae Im is the number one player in the tournament. Shane Lowry is 2. Denny McCarthy is 3. Couldn't pick him out of a police lineup. Kuchar, Chris Kirk, Billy Horschel, Sepp Straka, Adam Svensson. Yes, there's a household name for you. Harris English and Robbie Shelton are the top 10 on the power rankings.
Right.
As compared to DJ.
Well, Cam Smith,
Koepka.
here are the captains, because they've got the 12 foursomes
right
that compete against one another. So you could read off your list of 10. We could go one by one.
Well, and I can go to 12 because Taylor Pendrith and Lee Hodges are 11 and 12, David.
Right.
I've never heard of Taylor Pendrith. I'm not being a jerk here.
DJ, Keimer, Phil, Stenson, DeChambeau, Kevin Na, Koepka, Sergio, Bubba, Joaquin Neiman, Cam Smith, Louis Oosthuizen. Those are your captains.
The Joaquin Neiman one surprises me.
The what?
The Joaquin Neiman, he's young, right?
There's a few guys here. I mean, remember Mito Pereira, who nearly won the PGA, he bolted.
Right. Well, he and Joaquin Neiman are best buddies.
Right. But even here's where this tour is a little deeper than people think. If you just look at the guys that are listed, second on each team, Patrick Reed, you could go either Bernd Wiesberger or Graham McDowell as the number 2 on the next team. Cam Tringali or Brendan Steele, Ian Poulter or Westwood, Paul Casey, okay, or Charles Howell on the next team. Okay, you got the Kevin Na team looks a little weak. Scott Vincent, Danny Lee, somebody like that would be your number 2. But, Harold Varner or Taylor Gooch is your number 2 on Bubba's team. Okay, Abraham Answer or Carlos Ortiz is number 2 on Sergio's team. Matthew Wolf or Jason Kokrak is number 2 on Brooks Koepka's team. Schwartzel is number 2 on Oosthuizen's team. Okay, Cam Smith's number 2 is probably Leishman. Joaquin Neiman, probably Mito Pereira. It's not bad. Don't get me wrong. It ain't Rahm. It ain't Rory. It ain't, if, you got the field you got at the Genesis, you got that leaderboard. You got this one beat. But you've got to have that field to have this one beat. Adam, you're living in fantasy land with the XFL. And the fact that we haven't heard TV ratings yet is probably not a good sign. Because if they were good, the word would already be out. Although the Honda ain't going to do anything.
No.
Coming back.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. If you miss any part of the show, you can download our podcasts. Every hour is podcasted. floridasportsnetwork.com, like we just had David Samson off the top of the hour. Matt Baker from the Tampa Bay Times. Could be some major changes ahead in college football. We'll talk to Matt about that in 40 minutes.
Well, this week is the first time that Live Golf and the PGA Tour go head-to-head in the 2023 season. PGA Tour's had a good start. They've had good leaderboards. Their full field events have been compelling with great golf.
Yeah, when you got Scheffler or Rahm or Homa basically winning your tournaments, that's pretty good.
And it was good golf coming down the stretch this past week. It was pretty good in Phoenix as well. So they've had not only good fields, the top players have produced, and they've had intriguing endings. That's good stuff. That's all they can ask for.
Right.
But this week they go against Live Golf, and they're at the Honda. And David, I just pulled up during the break the power rankings for the Honda Classic. This is on PGA Tour's app. This is their power rankings.
Okay.
Sungjae Im is the number 1 ranked player in this tournament.
Okay. If we were to do LIV, if you went by World Golf Ranking, you'd go with Cam Smith.
Edge Live Golf.
Absolutely.
Shane Lowry is number 2.
DJ.
Denny McCarthy is number 3.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The Speaker of the House? What? Who?
Denny McCarthy.
Okay. I don't know where you want to go here. You want to go Koepka?
Sure.
Okay.
Matt Kuchar is next.
We'll go DeChambeau.
That one might be at least a little closer.
You get
Chris Kirk is next.
Wow, I think I could throw anybody out there.
Right?
I'll just, for the heck of it, I'll just throw Bubba. He didn't play all last year because of an injury. I'll still throw him out there thinking I'll get a win.
By the way, here's the description of Chris Kirk according to the PGA's app. One of the best ball strikers of his generation.
Huh. Wow.
Wow.
That's good to know.
Okay. Billy Horschel is 6th.
Oh, all right. I don't know. You want to go Sergio, Phil? Where do you want me to go here?
Take either one of them because Sepp Straka's number 7.
Okay, so how about we go Phil against Horschel? Okay, because those two will trash talk. That'd actually be entertaining. Horschel would beat him, but more people would want to watch Phil play. And then we'll go Sergio against Seb. The alliteration, Mark.
Adam Svensson is the number 8 power-ranked golfer in this tournament.
Well, just to keep the alliteration going, I'll go with Henrik Stenson.
Harris English is number 9.
Huh, okay. How about I go Louis Oosthuizen?
Robbie Shelton is next. He's at a pair of top 10s this year, and he's scattered 6 top 25s across 9 paydays and 11 starts. I mean, that's literally, guys made 9 of 11 cuts. He's had 6 top 25s. He's the 10th best player in this tournament.
I'll go Joaquin Niemann. Guy's ranked 34th in the world.
And they've got 12 teams in this live, so I'll give you 11 and 12. Taylor Pendrith is 11th. Good luck picking him out of a lineup. And Lee Hodges is 12th.
I'll just throw the other 2 captains out there, Martin Keimer and Kevin Na. So does Liv, if Liv just lists its 12 captains and the Honda lists its top 12 players, is it 12-0 Liv?
And if you're a golf fan, and we know there are a lot of you out there, what one are you watching this weekend? Because now you don't have to search that hard to find Live Golf.
Well, I don't know about that. It's on the CW.
That's a damn good point.
I mean, especially for the average golf viewer. I mean, the CW's attracted people age 40 and under. The average golf viewer is like 57. So, honey, do we have a CW in this market? What channel is it? Where the hell do I find that on DirecTV? I could see that going on a little bit. So,
well, what's funny is I'm a DirecTV customer, and in this market, we don't get CW.
No, you don't.
So it looks like the old HD antenna will have to come out for it.
Ooh, baby.
But the point we're making is that, hey, PGA Tour, when you've got your full field events, you're going to win and you're going to do well.
Totally.
But the rest of your events,
oof.
I mean, we're in golf markets. I'm guessing people listening that like golf win at least twice.
But this is where legacy, this is where being on NBC, because I believe the Florida Swing's on NBC, right? So they start their golf coverage for the year. Well, no, they did the 2 Hawaii events. So yeah, CBS has the Pacific time zone. NBC's got Hawaii and Florida. And then CBS takes back over right around Augusta.
So that's what you're getting this weekend from the Honda in Palm Beach Gardens. That tournament will struggle to get players. It's a really difficult course. They don't particularly like playing there, and now they're not required to.
And it's the first part of the Florida Swing. Yeah, it's a bad slot on the schedule. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the Florida Swing's going to go like the Texas Swing, but remember the Texas Swing got broken up. I mean, those tournaments, you had the Nelson and the, Hogan's Alley tournament and all that. And I mean, except for the guys who live in the greater Dallas area, like Scheffler and Spieth. And I mean, guys skip those events. And I think the Florida Swing's in a little bit of trouble here because I don't know how many of them are going to be the top tier events anymore, Mark. I mean, they'll do it for Bay Hill because Arnie's name is still on it. And and obviously the Players is the Players. But the Valspar, The Honda? Oof. I'm worried for them. I don't know what your fields are going to be like here going forward.
Time now for our Clutch Vodka play of the day. A lot of pressure on Felipe. We haven't even heard what this is. I have an idea. I know what I would have picked. Felipe, what do you got?
Best thing I saw yesterday comes from the Southland Conference. Nicole's hosting Texas A&M Commerce. My bad. CJ Roberts, a senior guard, coming off the bench, scoring 21 points, had this ridiculous hang time floater to win the game.
Play. Shot clock is turned off. It's Roberts. Drives inside. Floater banks it home with 5.6
seconds. Forgot to say seconds, but that's your clutch play of the day. What would you have picked, Mark?
I would have picked Carter Verhaeghe's goal in overtime to lead the Florida Panthers to a 4-3 win over the Ducks of Anaheim, and a must-needed win for the Panthers as they're trying to push their way towards the NHL's postseason. That would have been me on the Florida Sports Network. But, you know.
Wait, you would have picked the Florida Panthers as the Florida Sports Network play of the day?
Yep, I would have. I'd have gone out on a limb. Who did we have there? Who were the two teams playing?
Texas A&M Commerce and Nicole's.
Nichols.
My bad. Nichols.
All right. So you went Southland Conference. Okay.
That's our Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Boy, was it clutch.
And I certainly need some vodka after that. I'll go with Clutch Vodka, and I'll be drinking it straight this time. Normally, I like a little Fresca with it. But when we go Nichols and Texas A&M, who?
Commerce.
All
right. That's clutch
time
with
for
a Q.
straight vodka.
I think we just went clutch with a Q. That's how off we were on that one.
Go to clutchspirits.com, hashtag all you drink with Clutch Spirits. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening. The Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN play of the day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the play of the day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka play of the day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka play of the day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here.
Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
No, Daniel Jones is not going to get $45 million a year. Worst case scenario, Canada Relief, is the cap hit for a quarterback is 32.4. And that's the exclusive tag. So worst case scenario, they can't work out a deal, or they don't think they're going to work out a deal. They'll just slap the tag on him. But then that means they got to re-sign Saquon. And I think the thought was they were going to work out a deal with Daniel Jones and tag Saquon at 10. My guess is now the Giants are going to have to pay Saquon like 13 to 14 a year. McCaffrey makes 16. That's the highest paid running back. Henry's just under that. Saquon already turned down 12 per. I'm guessing the Giants signed him 4 or 5 years, 14 per, but they only guarantee the first 3 years of it. Well, unfortunately, Canada Relief, it's do you have a replacement? I mean, you willing to walk away from Daniel Jones and play Tyrod Taylor? Or sign anybody else that's out there?
Derek Carr or Daniel Jones? I know they're not in the sweepstakes for him, but.
Well, because I can tag Daniel Jones, the answer for me would be Daniel Jones over anybody you bring up.
Okay.
Because I can't get Carr for 32.4. He won't sign with me. The one thing I will say, these guys running the Giants now came from the Bills. Remember when the Bills snuck into the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor, and then they immediately blew that team up? First team to make the playoffs in nearly 20 years in Buffalo, and they blew it up just like that. Okay. I think Shane and Dable have the guts to, and now the currency to turn around and go, you know what? If we have to change course, we'll change course.
10 seconds. Or my bad. 15 seconds.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
It's 22 minutes before the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Matt Baker will join us to talk college football at the top of the hour. Chris Perkins, 1 hour from now, we'll talk a little Dolphins. Pat Kerwin will join us later in the week. Pat had to change plans, and so we will accommodate his schedule, and he'll join us later in the week. All right, Mark, let's get ready for the Matt Baker segment. I'm going to throw out some numbers, and you give me your feedback. So college football is talking about making what would be significant changes to their game. They're going to reduce the number of plays. They apparently have 4 suggestions. What do you think the chances are of the most radical one being accepted? That being that the clock will continue to run even after incomplete passes. However, it won't start running until the ball is spotted. So there'll be probably like an 8-second delay, and then the clock continues to run like soccer.
I think that has a 0% chance. I really, no, I'm not joking. That is no chance at all. That is merely done to get the other parts of the proposal passed. This is, let's throw the one outlandish thing out there just to see how foolish everybody thinks it is. I laughed when I read that.
Okay. Do you think that that was thrown out there so that maybe they could get some consensus on the second boldest suggestion, which is basically the NFL clock? The clock will continue to run after first downs, except when we get under 2 minutes to go in each half. I think the NFL in the second half is 5 minutes. I could be wrong. But so basically, college football will adopt the NFL clock. Do you think they'll do it?
Yes. And the NFL doesn't ever stop for first downs in the last 5 minutes. That's just a out of bounds thing.
Right.
So the last 2 minutes for the first downs, that's fine. It's a big leap, but I think, well, I don't think the networks are running this. The networks need to get their games in windows, and they finally gotten the ears of the right people. And I think this is a dunk. I think this will get changed immediately.
Well, believe it or not, I don't think the networks are being heard as much as the college football world's been talking to itself, and they have a problem with young people. A, viewing, but also B, even going. That the feedback they're getting is, oh man, the games take too long. Okay, is there any way to shorten this? For the record, this includes halftime. That's important to note because there's a 7 to 8 minute difference in an NFL halftime and a college halftime. But the average college football game this past season took 3 hours and 23 minutes. That includes the 20-minute halftime. The average NFL game has never been longer than it is right now. And I think it's because of all the delays for challenges and taking a look at calls. 3 hours and 12 minutes.
I think it's throwing the football. I think the challenges has something to do with it, but I think it's just merely every team's throwing the ball more, which means, and they're accurate as all hell, but there still are more incompletions.
So there's an 11-minute difference in the length of the games, and 7 of those minutes are at halftime. So actually, once we kick off, if you take half times out of it, even though the average college football game has 12 to 14 more plays in it, because the average NFL team runs 63 plays a game, while the average college team runs 69 or 70 plays a game. So even though you get 12 to 14 more offensive snaps in a college game, if you took halftime out of the equation, the college game lasts 4 minutes longer.
We got this text, David. 21,000 is the text line, by the way. 21000 if you want to text the show. If you've never done so before, you need to type the keyword FSN radio. Do that once, and then you are in. This gentleman who texts regularly just said, it's beautiful 3.5 to 4 hours of glory. Stop with it. I just can't say that middle word that was in there.
Messing?
Yeah, stop messing with it. That
Messing.
Messing.
Right. It's like clutch with a Q. Messing. Right.
Messing with an F.
It's for messing. So, okay. And believe me, we hear you. We don't agree. We think it's gotten a little long because you throw in the halftime, but also games don't kick off at 3:30. I mean, I'll be honest. for the longest time, the SEC on CBS 3:30 game kicked off at 3:38. Then it became 3:39. Now it's 3:42.
Is that for one more commercial break?
I don't know. I think
so.
I
asked that because
I think so.
For years, I did minor league hockey as a broadcaster. We had TV games. The regular game started at 7:30. Saturday nights when we had TV, it was 7:38. Why? Had to jam in a couple of commercial breaks.
Right. And also, I remember, and I believe you were still there, your games, which were listed at 7:30, but you guys kind of, you guys had huge crowds. So you gave them a few minutes to get to their seats. And at the same time, you knew you were selling more concessions. And, we can start at 7:30, at 7:35, 7:38, 7:40. And then you start to get feedback from your season ticket holders going, yeah, I don't want to be here past 10 o'clock.
It was the witching hour. People brought kids to games or whatever the case may be. 9:59 just appeared when you got in the car as better than 10:01.
And so all of a sudden I remember, because you guys you must have had like a staff meeting in which you said, we're starting these games at 7:30. Because I remembered showing up and we were 3 minutes into the game and I'm like, what the heck? I looked at my watch, it was 7:33 and I think you were still broadcasting then. And I went to you during a commercial break and said, what's going on? And you said, from now on, 7:30. And we mean 7:30. You guys became the NFL. You dropped the puck. The NFL kicks off at 1:01. College football's 3:30 games kick off between 3:38 and 3:45.
And every network's different, but they've got to get their pregame shows in. They come on at noon. The noon kick on Fox doesn't kick off at noon. What's Fox done? They've gone to 4-hour windows.
Now, I will say for the longest time, ESPN, when they have game day leading into their noon games, they get to them faster than they get to their 3:30 kicks.
Absolutely.
Because it's the lead in and we bring a big audience. And it's kind of like, hey, let's not mess around. We just spent 3 hours previewing the game. We probably touched upon this one. I'm Joe, I'm Troy. So-and-so's down on the field. You guys ready? Let's go.
No footootsin around.
No footootsin around. Or, as that gentleman text, messin'.
Right. With an F. But and if I were, if we were to put a poll question up today, it would be simply, are college football games too long? And I'd be curious to what our response would be.
And we would be debating which question to put up. That one, or do you want to see college football go with the NFL rules or the NFL clock?
Because the only thing that would really be left is 1 foot, 2 foot.
Yeah, really. I mean, and if you want to get into the game, the hash marks are much wider. If we want to get nitty gritty with X's and O's, it actually can make for a very different game. But you got to get really nitty gritty about that. The difference between this, width of the hash marks. So yes, sitting at home, the layman on their couch and what have you, if they adopt this change, and I'm with you, Mark, I think they will. I think they will go to the NFL clock here because they're going to try to rein in. And they acknowledge, hey, we got a lot more throwing than we've ever had before. That leads to more incompletions, more stoppage of the clock. We're running more plays. Although what is interesting is apparently in 2014, the games were really long. Like when I was looking up the length of games, apparently in 2014, the average game was 3 hours and 23 minutes. Then it went down like 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes. And now it's going up a minute a year. We've had 5 straight years where it's gone up. It's now 5 minutes longer than it was 5 years ago. We're back to the length of the games in 2014. Don't know why we had such long games in 2014. But you get more football with a college game. It's part of also, Mark, the college fan. It's the difference like going to a restaurant, and some restaurants' wings are just much meatier. The college fan gets more football.
To review, it's like when you go to a restaurant.
Yes.
And the wings are meatier.
Correct. Certain side-by-side sports bars, caddy corner from one another. We go there, either A, we get 12 wings in a basket. We go here, we get 10. Or B, you get 10 wings in both places, but their wings are bigger. Come on. Like, tell me that's never entered into the equation.
David, there's one place, and it's a big chain, so I will refuse to put their name out there because one day they could sponsor this show. They have very skinny wings. They bred them to make up for the fact that they are very small wings. Other than that, most wings are of standard dimensions. I don't think that there is a big difference in the. Now, there's
totally disagree. Oh, my goodness. Oh, we would go to war over this. I totally disagree. There's many different sizes of wings. Some places buy the ones that are X amount per wing. Some places say, you know what? I want the meteor wings. I just went to a place to watch the Daytona 500. They literally offer you different sizes of wings. Do you want the jumbo wings? Or do you just want, our regular wings? So what do you think
I want the regular wing because it's about the crispness. It's not really about the meteor of the wing. You can ruin that wing. You can dry it out. There's a lot of bad things that can happen.
What?
When you start getting the bigger wing.
What?
You can't go too big with the wing, David.
You can or you can't?
You can't. You can. I'm sorry. You can go too big with the wing. The wing can be too big where it just basically becomes a damn drumstick.
I want my wings like Fred Flintstone's brontosaurus thing on the side of his car that tilted it over. Okay? That's about the only thing that can be too big. Unbelievable. You can go too big with a wing?
Yes.
What has happened to you? Who are you?
21,000. Can a chicken wing be too big?
Oh, my goodness. If so, honestly, I may have to take a sick day tomorrow. I'll need a mental health day if you guys say a wing can be too big.
It can get too dry, David.
God, see, this is the difference. You're the cooker, I'm the eater.
I understand that.
This is the difference right here. So what? It's a little dry. I'll put a little more sauce. I'll dip it in the ranch or whatever. I'll make up for it. These are dry. I need more dip.
A wing can be too big.
No.
That's our poll question. That just got decided.
This is like the left tackle being told he needs to lose 10 pounds. Really?
I think a drumstick could be too big, but a flat can't be too big. I like flats more than drumsticks, though.
A wing can be too big. Honestly,
I
this
actually
will
think you're
rock
onto
my
something,
world.
Felipe.
Yeah.
The drum can be way too big.
Yes.
The flat, because of its denseness, is not going to get dried out the way a very thick drum could get dried out. I think you're onto something there.
Where the hell have you been going for your wings? You keep talking about these dried out wings. When's the last time you had a bad chicken wing?
Really?
Yes.
You can screw up a chicken wing.
I don't know, man. That's what the sauce is for. That's what the ranch or the blue cheese is for.
As you're over there eating your mild wings. But you might go nuts and go medium.
I'm going nuts these days. Right. Going nuts.
Yeah, people that bake wings, that's not even any good. That's a terrible wing in and of itself. It's not put in a fryer. What's the point?
A wing can be too big.
It can. It can be too small and it can be too big. It's like Goldilocks here. You need the wing that's just right, David.
No, you need it to just show up. Okay, honestly, it just needs to appear. It's magnificent. It really is. There may be different degrees of magnificence, okay? But it's like making the Olympics. When you look in the basket, every wing is an Olympian. There may be one, that's the gold medal wing. That's the silver medal wing. But every wing in the basket is an Olympian.
David, it's Fat Tuesday. A wing can be too big.
No messing way, okay?
That's messing with an F. Matt Baker coming up next to talk college football and chicken wings, because I will ask this question guaranteed. Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network. Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, and CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill, the Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. No, beer cannot be too gold. The sky cannot be too blue, but wings can be too big, bad golfer. They can be too big. So far, the people early are with me.
I just had someone text me and saying that they agree with the thing that I said about flats, that they can't be too big, but drums can.
So a chicken wing can be too big then?
Right, because it's a type of chicken wing.
Just derailed the show right there.
David just wants like a Disney World turkey leg sized chicken wing. That's what he wants.
Yes. Yes, that would be great.
I've actually never had one of those turkey legs. Are they good?
Depends. Some are moist, some are dry.
Kind of like a chicken wing.
Okay. That's because it's a turkey leg.
Turkey, chicken, it's all bird.
I'm with you, Johnny, though. I think I'm going to go get 2 dozen wings. All right. Heat them up right before the show tomorrow. And I'm just going to spend the whole first couple hours of the show eating wings during the break. I'm not even going to clean my face.
Wow, that is a blue court.
Oh my God. I saw that.
Did you say blue court?
Blue court. The top plays wrong. The court was blue.
Is it Boise?
No, it looked like it might have been Delaware.
Oh, the Blue Hens. Unbelievable. 50-50 is the vote right now. And can a chicken wing be too big? Unbelievable.
Best.
I know.
With. Yinzer, with.
Yep. 3:23 with halftime. Halftime is not being reduced. The bands, each band gets 2 songs. That ain't changing.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And it is the third hour of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us. Final hour in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte to Venice. The bonus hour begins at the top of the hour in the 239. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Chris Perkins, fine columnist for the Sun Sentinel, will join us coming up in about 35 minutes to talk about all the moves the Dolphins are making on the defensive side of the ball, at least with their coaching staff. Matt Baker's kind enough to join us again. He covers college football, Gators, Knowles, the Big Five in state, and the sport as a whole for the Tampa Bay Times. You can follow Matt on Twitter at MBakerTVTimes, MBakerTVTimes. Matt, David, and Mark, once again, hope you've been well. How are you?
Can't complain. Hope you guys are doing well, too.
Before we get into the hard-hitting questions of the day, Matt, a debate just started on this show. I'm going to make an assumption that you like chicken wings. I hope that's correct. If it is, can a chicken wing be too big? I make the case that chicken wings can actually be too big and dried out. My co-host David says I'm absolutely crazy. The more meat, the better. Can a chicken wing be too big?
I think it can, but I'm not a huge chicken wing guy. Too messy. I know. But that's just,
there you go.
You know, like when I go to Buffalo Wild Wings, I go with the chicken sandwich because I don't want to get all messy.
He's a writer.
But at the end of the day, okay, well, it's true. You know, the fingers get sticky, the keyboard, the phone, whatever you're typing on. No. I get it. Okay.
But at the end of the day, it was a yes, David. I just want you
to know. No, I know, Matt. And that, anyway. So let's get to the college football rule changes.
All right, yeah, something less controversial.
Right. The average game was 3 hours and 23 minutes. That includes halftime. That is 11 minutes longer than the average NFL game right now. The average NFL game's 3:12, which includes their halftime. There's a 7-minute difference in a college halftime and an NFL halftime. So, Matt, in theory, the college game takes 4 minutes longer in terms of actual plays, account for 4 extra minutes. Do you think that the game needs to be shortened, number one?
Yes, absolutely. Because I hear the numbers you're saying, but I've been in in the press box at so many 3:30 CBS games that go on for 4 hours. Or think about kind of the Big 12 does a lot more defense now, but go back 10 years or whatever, and think about something like when in the Big 12 when everybody was air raid and throwing the ball 50 times, and those games would drag on for a while with all the incompletions and clock stoppages. Yeah, I definitely think it's too long. And if you go, it's one thing to watch it on your couch where if there's a commercial break, you can go to the bathroom, get a drink, flip around to a different game, whatever. But when you're at the stadium, to me, that's the biggest issue. It's just how long those timeouts are. And that's what drags it down and makes it a rough experience in the stadium, just for me personally.
Couple of the rule changes that they're talking about. One is just simple, the NFL rule to not stop the clock at first downs. The other is far more radical, of continuing the clock after an incompletion after the ball is put back or set back in play. Do you think both, either, or one of those will fly?
Yeah, I think both will end up happening at some point. And maybe they go halfway and pick one at first. And I don't have like a super strong opinion on it because, I probably know the rules, but when you watch an NFL game versus a college game, it's not like that makes a major difference into the viewing experience. I know it affects strategy and that stuff, but I just don't. It doesn't make a huge difference to me as a casual fan. I guarantee you, if I told my wife what the rules were, she'd be like, "Huh? I've never noticed that." So I don't think changing it's going to make a big difference. I understand the idea of having fewer plays, which is less exposure. As we're getting ready to add games because of the college football playoff. So I kind of understand that logic, but yeah, like I said, I don't know that if one of the major concerns as a viewer is that the game is too long, I don't know that this is going to, or even just feels too long. I don't know that this is going to be the changes. These are going to be the changes that fix that. If that makes sense.
Talking college football with Matt Baker, Tampa Bay Times. Follow him on Twitter, MBakerTBTimes, MBakerTBTimes. Matt, I have always believed, and I think I'm in the vast minority, that college football was going to do something like this to reduce the number of plays because they may want to add another game at some point. How do you get more money? You need to add inventory. And yes, they're expanding the playoff, but that's only benefiting 8 more teams, if you know what I mean. Like, to me, if you reduce the number of plays to more of an NFL number of plays, which means that you'll have 12 to 14 less plays. Let's just say it's 12, times it by 12. That's 144 less plays. That's 2 full games. You could still be advocating player safety and add a 13th game and still make the case, well, we're still running 75 less plays with a 13th game than we would have been with the old rules in 12.
Yeah, and I hear what you're saying. At some point, the calendar for college football has to be addressed. And obviously, when the games are is a significant part of that. I want to know what when the 12-team playoff is done, when everything's really kind of in place and they really figure it out. I want to see what that's going to look like in terms of what's being played when. Is week 0 the new week 1? How many games are around Christmas? How many games are in the second semester? How many games end up being around when the college football players have finals, which my understanding is those are rather important to academics. There's just a lot of moving parts there that I don't know that these powers that be that rule this sport have really come up with good answers on all of that. And we saw during the COVID year in 2020 that teams can play during finals, and that's okay. That was an adjustment they were willing to make in that unique circumstance. So I'm curious how all of that plays out, because maybe at some point they do talk about trying to expand it in that way, but there comes a point where everybody else, you can expand it too much, right? Where these are, even with NIL, they're still unpaid athletes at this point in terms of the school relationship, and asking them to play an NFL regular season is not feasible. So what's the sweet spot in there, and is there room for another game, and how many more, especially considering your national championship teams are going to have to play several more at the end of the season.
Matt, you mentioned NIL briefly in that answer. Florida made some changes to the NIL. How big of a deal is what happened a couple of weeks ago in the state legislature?
A little, and also a lot. So legally speaking, Florida's, the schools and the teams are going to be able to do a lot more with NIL in terms of if, hey, you're an agent. Here are 10 donors to the University of Matt Baker that are interested in doing NIL. Maybe they wanted to work with your player. So that's something practical. You could have bobbleheads of players for sale at the Swamp and at Doak and all that stuff. And there's a little bit with that, but there's also not a lot either, because I find it extremely just not credible at all that there was no involvement between schools and coaches and NIL agents and collectives and what have you before. It doesn't pass the smell test. And even though there was a law on the books against it, there is no scenario where a prosecutor or attorney or a state representative or whoever was going to try to punish, I'm just going to throw out a name, Billy Napier or Mike Norvell or whoever it was for breaking the state's NIL law to try and get a player. That's not going to happen. It has never happened in this state or any other. That's not going to happen. So on a practical level, I do think it matters. But on the big picture, there was a law. I'm going to guess it was being broken by many people, not naming names. And even if it was broken and people knew about it, no one was getting in trouble for it.
How bad is the Rashada fallout with the Gators and NIL, or is that just a blip?
I think the answer is going to be clear here in the coming months as Florida works on that 24 recruiting class. I think Florida thinks the matter is by and large behind them. And the good thing about college football, because I asked some NIL people, how does Florida get by? And I said, time moves on. College football is a what have you done for me lately business. The sport moves lightning fast. So the Rashada thing seems, honestly, in some ways like ancient history. And I think there's a stain there that is going to linger on the recruiting trail. But if Florida is able to show that they've made some changes in how they do things, obviously the state law, I think, is one thing that they can point to that's going to help in terms of what they're able to do and what they're able to say. And then if the Gator Collective or any other entity that may or may not pop up is able to kind of show this is what we're doing, this is how we've changed things, I think it'll be okay. But in the meantime, I do think that stain is still around. And if my kindergartner were being recruited, I would have serious questions about whether Florida is going to be able to live up to their bargain. I don't think that's gone away.
He's Matt Baker. He covers college football, covers all the teams in state, but also covers the sport as a whole for the Tampa Bay Times. You can follow Matt on Twitter, @MBakerTVTimes, @MBakerTVTimes. Matt, as always, appreciate your time and your insight. Hope things are going well for you.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Matt Baker joining us once again here on Miller and Moulton. Just to review, because we're getting a lot of people hearing bits and pieces. The average college game is 11 minutes longer than an NFL game. That includes halftime. Average college game runs 12 to 14 more offensive snaps than the average NFL game. 69 to 70 offensive plays per team in college, roughly 63 per team in the NFL. Those are the numbers. College football seriously considering going to the NFL clock.
The other numbers are this. 53% of you do not think a chicken wing can be too big thus far. It is a very close vote. Can a chicken wing be too big? I say that it can. David says that I'm absolutely, positively nuts.
Hell no. If I lose this vote, honestly, I'll need a mental health day tomorrow.
Miller and Moulton, talking football and chicken wings. They've always seemed to go together. We found a way to do it even in the offseason right here on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're gonna have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'm with you, Hops. And I like Matt Baker, but when he said he's not a huge fan of wings, stock did go a little down. Not going to lie.
I love these slip-on shoes. They're so comfortable. Yeah, I roll down whenever I wear high socks, I roll them down when I'm wearing shorts. I'm not trying to look like I got stockings on.
I agree.
Yeah. But if I got the pants on, obviously you got to roll them up. It's my style on the court, in case anyone was wondering. You know what? You're a bad golfer. I like that name, though.
Text line is jam-packed.
Oh, boy.
All on chicken wings. Shocking.
Back in the day, it was always good when we went on a tangent like this, because then it was like, oh, wow, there's actually people listening.
Right? So that Wicked Wings and Things on Alico, their wings are too big.
Okay.
They do have big wings. Yeah. Yeah, but again, their drums are too big. Their flats are perfect. But I'm kind of gonna side with David on. I'm still gonna eat the freaking
You flip flopped on this.
But I'm
you can't. You originally sided with Mark.
I'm still gonna eat the wing, though.
Well, that wasn't the question. The question is, can they be too big?
Question.
Okay.
The question, you jerk.
Then I'll stay with my side, but I'll add the fact that I'll still eat the wing.
Well, but no offense, nobody takes a look at the wings and goes, I'm not eating these.
I'm not gonna eat these.
Matt Baker would.
He wouldn't order them.
He wouldn't order them. And he sounds like the guy who eats pizza with a knife and a fork.
He really does.
All right. I mean, honestly, I'd break up with somebody who all of a sudden we ordered pizza and they ate it with a knife and a fork. Sorry, this relationship's over. Why? Seriously? You have to ask?
Here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Here I am, all proud. The show we lined up once again today. David Samson, Matt Baker, Chris Perkins. Guests we have lined up for the rest of the week. What's it everybody wants to talk about, Mark?
Chicken wings.
Here you go. Okay.
Asked about the college football games, bupkis.
Whatever. Yep. Maybe too long, may not. Leave my games alone. Touch my wings, I'll kill you.
So, David, here's some of the answers on the text line. 21,000 is the number if you want to chime in. The question was asked, can a chicken wing be too big? It's our poll question today, and it is a battle right now that is it's in the 50s to 40s. It is going flipping and flopping back and forth. Vote at that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, or FL Sports Network on Twitter, or go to floridasportsnetwork.com. This person says, yes, chicken wings can be too big. If I want big, I'd go drumstick or thigh. Following answer, I'm with David. Give me the Flintstone size wings.
Correct. I want the Brontosaurus burger. I want the ribs on the side of the car that it tips it over.
Wing can't be too big.
Thank you.
David is the last person to take food advice from. Small wings, much better. Young chickens. Big wings are from old hens that no longer lay eggs. Tough and stringy, like almost all meats. The younger the source, the better.
Hold on a second. How can the fat guy who eats the most be the person that you least go to about food?
Because there's not much you don't like. What you don't like are things that are healthy. Hey, would you like a vegetable? Are you out of your mind?
Right. We're not talking broccoli. We're talking chicken wings. How can I not be a source? I mean, I don't get it. Remember, we're not talking about cooking the wings. This is a eating the wings question. How am I a bad source?
This person's with David. No chicken wing can be too big. Wings can definitely be too big. Thin line between snack and Thanksgiving.
Oh, this is good. This is back and forth.
Yes, that's determined by you. The size of the basket. Do you order the 8, 10, or 12, or do you order the 20 plus? That's the size. By the way, Canada Relief. Jumbo wings have a bad ratio of sauce to wing. It's too dry. Ask for less sauce, more sauce, whatever. All you taste is the meat. Ask for more sauce. Can you give me some extra sauce on the side? Boom. Done.
I'll be updating you throughout today. I will text you, David. I will just forward the tweet from Florida Sports Network of what the current poll results are and drive you nuts throughout the day, because you're ticked that this is even a 50-50 vote. Like, you think you should win this 90-10 or it's an upset.
What country am I living in? That's what I'm thinking. What the heck happened? Man, I moved 350 miles away. I feel as if I'm in Norway. What the heck? A wing can be too big. Man. And this is like Republican Democrats 50-50, 51-49, 52-48 type of stuff here. I'd almost rather lose this 70-30, to be honest with you. This is killing me.
I didn't know we were going down such a road today. I really didn't.
And let me tell you, how many years? We've been friends nearly 25 years. We've been doing a show like 17. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it takes damn near a subpoena for me to get a hold of Mark Miller once this show ends. Okay. Unless it's something funny, I cannot get a reaction from him on anything. Anything. And he's going to text me nonstop today, updating the poll results. Honestly, I could be headed to the hospital. I could say, listen, I'm not feeling well. I'm going to the hospital. Okay, maybe before he goes to bed, he'd be like, hope it works out.
Current poll votes 41, 31, 49, 41.
Oh my goodness. You're right. You're right. My day is shot now. Shot. There's a guy. Speaking of which, so we're going to have to do some repairs to the condo here. And so we got a guy coming over at 1:00. My wife says to me, listen, I'm not going to be there. So you're going to be the one handling this. I'm like, yeah, okay, I got it. And she's like, and I quote, I need you to be extra nice.
Extra nice.
Extra nice.
Kind of like extra sauce.
Thank you. That's what I said. I said, so not nice. I have to be extra nice. And she said, well, I don't know how to put this. And I go, no, just throw the cards on the table. I go, neither one of us is walking out on the other at this stage of the game. So just throw the cards on the table. She's like, well, sometimes when you think you're being nice,
boy,
you're not really being nice. You're being maybe normal. I'm like, oh, really? She's like, yeah. So I need you to be extra nice. And I go, can I just, I'll be extra nice. I promise you I'll be extra nice. But can we just review the relationship here? I am going to hand him thousands of dollars to do something. And I'm the one that has to be extra nice?
Extra nice. Not just nice, David.
Extra nice.
Extra nice.
That's like the wings with what? Extra crispy?
Extra crispy's fine. It's just the size of the wing. If you order extra crispy and it's too big, you're going to get a dried out wing, David.
So today...
54-46, by the way.
Today... I have to deal with, can a wing be too big, yes or no? And while I'm meeting with the guy and being extra nice, Mark is going to text me twice with poll results of a question which is essentially going to determine whether or not I move to Canada.
It may be trouble for you to be extra nice if I'm texting while that gentleman is there and the poll is not going your way.
Unbelievable. And if I can't stay in the States, how am I going to live in Canada? Because there you have to be extra nice.
Everybody is.
Right. There's a reason I only lived 5 years in the upper Midwest. It was Minnesota nice. The people of the Dakotas are great. I stood out like a huge chicken wing is how I stood out. Because I was the sarcastic blankety blank for the Northeast. I mean, people within hundreds of miles were like, that one. Yeah.
There's Moulton with that dry sense of humor, just like a big chicken wing over there.
Yep, that's the jumbo wing right there. Stay away from him.
He definitely needs some sauce.
He's the only guy in the whole state who actually uses his horn when you cut him off. Everybody else goes, oh, no, that's okay.
I love that someone in your car told you not to use the horn when you were there, that you honked at someone and they asked what you were doing.
A guy cut me off, nearly hit me. I leaned on my horn, pulled up alongside him at the light, and, of course, told him I thought he was number one. And two other people in the car said, yeah, dude, if you're going to live here, you can't do that. Well, what do you mean? He nearly hit me. I don't know what to tell you. Deal with it. I had to be what? Extra nice.
I didn't realize that. I would have never brought up this chicken wing discussion knowing that you had to be extra nice today, because this is a lot for one man to handle. Extra nice. And you're finding out that people think chicken wings can be too big. And it's not just me. There are several people that are on my side here. While there are several on yours, it certainly seems that a chicken wing can be too big.
I mean, I feel like the incumbent who, got polling results before he went to bed, like, oh, you're going to win this 76-24. And now all of a sudden I'm sitting down on election night and it's 53-47. What the heck? Chris Perkins is next.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again.
Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if your party's not here, you're going to have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Well, I'm getting a divorce.
Wife says chicken wings can be too big?
Chicken wings can be too big. She said, look at me. Remember, I eat 3 or 4 of them. I go, then fine, eat 2. Yep, there you go, baby Jules. Yep. She just told me they could be too big. Golly. It's going to suck. I moved. I spent all this money. Yeah, man. It's going to suck being alone. Oh, well. Thank you, Johnny Mac. Thank you. I asked David Samson the poll question. Can shrimp be too big?
No.
Shrimp's got a totally different bite. That's a good poll question. That's an all-timer.
What's the craziest thing you've heard this month? The wing can be too big, or that Anthony Richardson will be the first quarterback taken?
Damn, that's damn, that's a great poll question. We got to hit Chris with the poll question.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
All right. So I'll set it up. You ask him. We'll ask Seth tomorrow. We will.
Chris is on hold.
Thank you.
$30 seconds. Here we go.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes until the top of the hour when the bonus hour begins for our audience in the 239. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Chris Perkins, back covering the Dolphins, writing columns for the Sun Sentinel. Follow Chris on Twitter at Chris Perk, P-E-R-K, Chris Perk. Chris, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time. How are you?
Hey, fellas, I'm doing good, man. We're seeing how much hope the Dolphins can spell this offseason, right? They just signed Vic Fangio, who might have been the best assistant coach on the market. They made the trade for Bradley Chubb at the trade deadline. They got Tyreek Hill before the season, so we'll see if they can do something with Tua and these concussions. He's supposedly going to be taking judo lessons to learn how to fall, but the Dolphins are trafficking in hope right now. We'll see if it comes to fruition.
There is no doubt. Before we get to the Dolphins, there has been a burning question that hit this show. David and I got into a little argument a little more than an hour ago, and it has continued through the show. You can help determine this argument and whether or not my co-host comes back tomorrow. But I made the claim, Chris, that a chicken wing can be too big. That there are small chicken wings, but a chicken wing can be too big. My co-host says that is absolutely impossible. Where do you stand on this chicken wing controversy?
Can't be too big. You're talking to a man who will sometimes go to the grocery store and buy turkey wings. So I don't think that the chicken wing can be too big. I agree. It can't be too big. Give me more chicken, more meat on the bone, baby.
Chris, the check is in the mail. Thank you very much. All right, what did Vic?
That text you sent me, I got it. It's all good.
Hey, what did Vic say yesterday? I mean, first off, he was reportedly signed weeks ago. Then he did the 2-week tour where he was an assistant to the Eagles. Now he's officially with the Dolphins, and he spoke for the first time yesterday. What was it that he said that you found interesting?
I thought it was interesting that, number one, he comes off as a very matter-of-fact, no-nonsense guy. But the thing that he said that I really liked was he will base his defense on his personnel. And the reason I like that is because you've got a lot of coaches who come in and, we're going to play the 4-3 and we're going to play the 3-4. We're going to do this and do that. And you look and you're like, yeah, but you don't have the personnel for that. And so I like that Fangio is kind of like, this is my overarching principle, but we'll see if I have the talent to pull that off. And then we'll tailor our defensive system to the talent that I have on the roster. I really like hearing that.
Chris, I know it's a pretty simple question, but how much better can this defense get with Fangio? Because it was obviously an area that started to sputter towards the end of the season, but there's a lot of reasons why with what happened. How much better can they get on the defensive side of the ball?
I think they can get a lot better, but it's going to depend on what they want to do. Now, if they go back to, you guys remember when Brian Flores was the coach and they had Byron Jones and Xavier Howard at the corners, they would lock down the receivers and the other 9 guys would do whatever the heck they wanted, mostly blitz, because that's what they did under the former defensive coordinator, Josh Boyer. Now, here, Fangio can lead the defense with the edge rushers, right? Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips. He can lead the defense with the front 4. He can lead the defense with the front 7. If Byron Jones comes back, maybe you do the lockdown corner thing again. But you have lots of options here. So health is going to be the number one thing. But I think, listening to Fangio say that he will tailor his system to the players, I think that right there tells me this has the potential to be a much better defense.
He's Chris Perkins. He says a wing can never be too big, and he also covers the Dolphins. He's the fine columnist for the Sun Sentinel. Follow him on Twitter at Chris Perk, Perk. Did Vic get into why he chose the Dolphins? Because remember, he was linked to Sean Payton. That originally, that Payton was going to. Now, of course, Payton chose Denver, where Vic was the head coach, so that would have been awkward. But was it strictly money, or did he actually, throw a bouquet at the new young head coach and say, actually, this is the reason? I mean, or was it just cold, hard cash?
It's a good question. He never did really directly answer that. He was asked, and he did say that there was no previous connection between him and Mike McDaniel, the Dolphins coach. He said that they have some mutual friends in the league, but he said he liked the talent with the Dolphins and the potential there. I'm sure money has a lot to do with it. You're in a state with no income tax. Interestingly enough, he said that he was up in Destin, Florida during his year sabbatical, and he set up this office type situation and. He said he could tap into the NFL computer system, and he had all the information that other coaches around the league would have, and he would watch games and he would chart things. He said he's got a couple of new things defensively that he would like to try out from being on his sabbatical that he came up with. So we'll see what he has up his sleeve, but he didn't. It's not like he and Mike McDaniel coached together in Denver or anything like that. I'm sure the money was a major factor. The money and the title and the role, because you would expect that he's basically going to be the head coach of the defense, that McDaniel and general manager Chris Greer will kind of pretty much let Vic Fangio do what he wants.
And I know money obviously is a big part, but Chris, doesn't this speak volumes for McDaniel that he's able to get someone that he didn't work with? Relationships are so important in the NFL. If you can spring away from those relationships and hire a coach of this quality, it must say a lot for what he's done in 1 year.
Yeah, and McDaniel has a good reputation around the league. He's a guy that he's this little guy who's like, I don't know, 5'6", 5'7". He's a Ivy League educated guy who went to Yale. Quirky, really good sense of humor, always deadpanning and one-lining during his press conferences. So he's different. He's a different sort of guy. So that does speak well for him and the way he does things. He's a guy who kind of believes in player empowerment, and he's a new age coach. He's not one of those old school. He's not a Vic Fangio old school guy. To be honest with you, a guy who we run the show. We're the coaches. That he's McDaniel is kind of more of that NBA mold of we're going to give the players some input here. So it does speak well for McDaniel, and maybe it speaks well for where NFL coaching will be in 10 years or whatever if McDaniel wins, because it's such a copycat league.
Chris, I've got the Dolphins about $16 million over the cap right now. They've got 2-3 weeks to get down to the cap. I mean, the obvious one is if they let go of Byron Jones, they're pretty much there. Does that feel like a foregone conclusion? Like, did Vic talk at all about his two expensive but gifted cover corners?
Yeah, no. We mentioned he mentioned Xavier Howard, but Byron Jones' name never came up. And Byron Jones has been a very interesting situation that nobody has been able to really get a finger on what's going on there. He's going to be like $14 million in dead money if you just cut him. So you need to ideally find a trade for him, or I guess ideally you hope he comes back healthy. Nobody knows what the status is, what the chances of that are. He had the leg surgery in March. They thought he was going to be back for the start of the season. He never returned all year. Nobody has heard from him. Nobody has heard from his agent. The Dolphins haven't spoken. We've all been poking around trying to get in touch with his agent and trying to get in touch with Byron Jones, but that is like one of the big mysteries. And then Mike Gesicki will come off the cap. He was 10.6, I believe. He was playing on the franchise tag at tight end. But those two would get you there. But the Byron Jones thing, yeah, you got to be kind of careful so you don't have all that dead money sitting around.
Is there any other cap casualties coming that you can see? I mean, obviously you mentioned Gesicki and you mentioned the other Jones there, but is there anything else that we should be expecting here in the next couple of weeks?
I don't think that there's anything that's gonna shave off, major money, because there's really just not that much out there. We'll see what happens with some of the other free agents. Landon Roberts at that inside linebacker is going to be a key because he was a team captain. But even him, I think he was making like $3 million. So there's not another big ticket item. You're pretty much looking at Byron Jones and Mike Gesicki as the big ticket guys. But Chris Greer, the general manager, does not seem concerned about getting down to the NFL ceiling. So he seems to think that they're going to make it fairly comfortably by the March 15 deadline.
Is it a foregone conclusion that they're picking up Tua's fifth-year option? Because it's fully guaranteed if they do. So, and they have to make that decision in the next 3 weeks, don't they?
Yes, May 1st. May 1st is the
May 1st.
No, that's not a foregone conclusion. And look, I think they have a lot to think about with that deal, because obviously you aren't going to know by May 1st if Tua stays healthy for the entire 2023 season. So my feeling is that deadline is probably going to come and go, and there probably won't be any activity because of the concussion situation. If Tua shows that he can stay healthy for a whole year, you probably do it. And his fifth-year option, I believe, is probably going to be around $22 million or something like that. And, look, there is a sense of urgency with the Dolphins, because once all these extensions start kicking in and you have to make decisions on Christian Wilkins is up this year. Tua is going to be coming up. Jalen Waddle, Javon Holland, Brandon Jones at safety. All of these guys, they're the young talent, Jalen Phillips at defensive end. Once those contracts start coming up, it's going to be tough to keep this core together. So the next couple of years, if you want to win with this core, you've really got to put your foot down onto the pedal to the metal, I should say.
He's Chris Perkins, and he covers the Dolphins. He's a columnist for the Sun Sentinel. Follow him on Twitter, Chris Perk, P-E-R-K, Chris Perk. Chris, thanks for your time, particularly at this hour. Continued success, and hopefully we can catch up right around the time the new NFL season starts in mid-March.
All right, fellas. Big wings, baby. Big wings. I like
Yeah.
Talk to you.
Yes. Flintstones, Brontosaurus burgers. Yes.
55% of you, however, on my side, that a chicken wing can be too big.
Holy blank. Oh, my goodness.
Chris Perkins notwithstanding. He didn't vote.
Have we gotten Samson's answer yet?
I don't believe so.
No, he's probably taping a podcast right now.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Let's see. I'm looking. No, he just gave it an LOL. I'm going to text him back. Need an answer. My wife, by the way, said you can have one too big. Okay. So we're getting divorced. All right. This was a good run. All right. I love her madly. I'm going to miss her. But obviously, I need to have different companionship, or just me and my wings, just alone for the rest of my life. That's maybe where I need to go. That's after I'm extra nice today to the guy who's coming to the house to make repairs. He's the one making the money, and I'm the one that has to be nice.
Extra nice.
Extra
what that
nice.
means is that there's more work for this guy to do. She believes that it's not just whatever's happening today, that he may be back to do more work. That's the only thing I can take from you have to be extra nice, because if it's a one and done, who cares?
She did acknowledge that, it probably, he's probably the one that should be nice to us because we're the customer. I said, yes, that's usually how it works. Okay. That the one paying has to be less nice. Okay. Usually that's how that works.
The nice part typically is the payment.
Correct. You put up with so-and-so. Why? Because they pay you. Right. So A, I have to be extra nice. And then B, apparently 55% of you think a chicken wing can be too big. Honestly, I feel as if I'm losing my spouse and my country today. I feel as if I just need to move to Norway and live alone. Yeah, unbelievable.
I'm guaranteeing in Norway you're not getting a big chicken wing. I mean, you got to stay where the wings are, David. No matter whether or not, look at it this way. If 55% think that a wing can be too big, think of all of the establishments with big wings that you can just sit down comfortably and knock down as many as you'd like. You're taking this the wrong way.
Well, that's true. I could probably stay in the United States. I'm just living apparently in the wrong area, because I know for a fact if I moved up to the upper Midwest, okay, where, everything is bigger. The people, the bulls, the steer, the cows, everything is bigger, that I would get the vote to go my way.
Bigger is usually better, David. I get it. There are many things that bigger is always better. A chicken wing, in my opinion, is not one of those things. You can have too big of a wing. I mean, who wants a 4 or 5 bite wing? I need a couple of bites. Let's move on to the next one. I got a basket of these things to finish, for crying out loud. Miller, Moulton, and chicken wings right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah. Hi. Excuse me.
Hey, the line starts back here. Ma'am, if you're
That's right, Yinzer.
have to go around again.
If you had the opportunity to avoid all this, wouldn't you?
Salt Live is the official transportation provider of the Miller and Moulton Morning Show, making your trip to and from the airport seamless and stress-free. Salt Live is supported with the help of local partners like the Bayfront Inn. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn, something for everyone on 5th Avenue in downtown Naples. BayfrontInNaples.com. When you need a ride, book with Salt Live Transportation, 308-8686, or book on saltlivetransportation.com.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
Miller and Moulton here for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
Mark, remember Nick Charles, Fred Hickman, the CNN Play of the Day?
Yeah, CNN did a nightly sports show. That was a while ago.
Yes, it was. Just work with me. Everyone liked the pod, the Play of the Day. So how about we have the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day?
Sounds good. Fun. Smooth. Like Clutch Vodka.
Listen weekday mornings for the Clutch Vodka Play of the Day.
That's Clutch with a K. Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
That show flew by.
It did. Be really flying by if it was over.
For what it's worth, I asked Soap, and she said the same thing that I did, where it can only be too big for drums.
Then the answer is yes.
Yes.
Can a wing be too big?
Big turn of events, 52% saying no now, David. A lot of votes just came in your way.
Oh.
Still a small voting sample.
Some guy called me clueless when he goes, 1,000% wings can be too big.
It's amazing when you have a good show, you add one little thing to it, how much easier it becomes too. Because we had a great show today.
Oh, now one of my friends says, of course not. Man, this is split.
Hence the 52-48.
15 seconds. Here we go.
Yeah, I know, baby Jules. It is.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The bonus hour on this Tuesday, the day after President's Day. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when, along with our final thoughts, all coming up in a little less than 40 minutes time. You missed any part of the show? Chris Perkins, who writes about the Dolphins, Matt Baker, who writes about college football, David Samson, who we can talk about anything about, and we ended up talking about the financial issues involved with the NBA and Major League Baseball. Good segment today, which he also said Tuesday is his favorite day of the week. Just a poll question in and of itself, but not as divisive as our poll question today. Holy mackerel.
Can a chicken wing be too big? I say it can.
And I apparently am in need of a new co-host, a new spouse, and a new country. Wow. I was just told I was an idiot, by the way, by somebody. 1,000% an idiot. That, of course, a wing can be too big, you moron.
Maybe this will help you out. 55% of your listeners need coffee or are on crack. Wings cannot be too big. I raised backyard chickens to eat, and those big wings were the best.
So there you go. That's the controversial question. All right. We asked both our guests in this 8 o'clock hour, and they were split. Matt Baker said, yes, they are. Chris Perkins is like, hell no. So there you go. At Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FL Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Vote accordingly.
I may have to get some wings today. It's Fat Tuesday after all. This is part of, in my head, today is part of the reason as to why you and I are doing a show together.
There's no doubt it's in your head. This was the first time that you ever thought about us doing a show. I was on location at Pinchers on a Fat Tuesday. You were doing the shows in the morning and out doing your sales thing. I think we stumbled upon a topic. You were coming back to the office. You walked into the studio and you said to John, the producer at the time, turn the mic on. I got to chime in.
In fact, John was the one that turned it on because I had written down, it was Fat Tuesday and you were doing a whole thing on fat athletes. I found it to be really fun. I was driving around laughing my tail off. And I had 3 names. I had them written down on a piece of paper and I handed them to John. And John just pointed. He said, sit down, and he turned the mic on. He said, go. And that's against the rules. I mean, you don't go take another man's microphone. In our business, you don't go grab the microphone. You can't. It was the David Moulton show, or what the hell what was the name of your show?
It sounds about right.
All right. Yeah. I was Miller in the morning. You were, the David Moulton show, whatever the hell it was.
Right.
And so I didn't want to take the mic. I didn't want to steal any thunder, but I wanted to help add more names to what I thought was, I was listening to my car, really enjoying the show. So I came back in, I handed John a list of names.
Are you saying that chiming in on someone else's show, is that violating an unwritten rule, or was that a written rule?
It's an unwritten rule.
And you're not big on unwritten rules. So it's amazing to me that you were abiding by one.
Well, I didn't want to honk you off.
I was at a restaurant eating and talking sports. There was nothing you could have done
So we ended up doing an hour together. We ended up 45 minutes, an hour. And I laughed hard. I mean, I walked out in a great mood. And when that was funny, that we had fun. We had a great chemistry. The thing, and that's what to me started us doing a show together. And it was several months later that you came to me and said, "This is too hard. What do you think about teaming up?" And I'm like, I'm in. I'm in.
All because of a Fat Tuesday, apparently. So,
and here it is, many Fat Tuesdays later, that we could be splitting up because of chicken wings.
Right. I mean, here we are. We're 17 years later. That was Fat Tuesday in 2006. That apparently the ball started rolling, at least in your mind, that we were going to team up. So here we are 17 years later, and we're breaking up, apparently, if the vote goes a certain way.
But fortunately for you, the vote is turned into your favor, where right now 52% of the vote says that a chicken wing cannot be too big.
That's way too close. Way too close.
Far and away the most popular poll question we've had since I've brought poll questions back to the show.
I know the poll question's like an hour old. Man. So there you go. And boy, the opinions from our audience are strong too. I mean, man, you guys don't get this bent out of shape about a controversial call at the end of the Super Bowl, for goodness sakes. But chicken wings, we're all in. Yeah, we've always said it. It's kind of like giving away the free T-shirts at a game, or if you're a radio station, giving away the free T-shirts. Nothing. We would, just to let you all know, there would be times in which we would bring up really good topics and the phone wouldn't ring once. And so we would just give something away just to see if the phones worked or if anyone was listening. So, of course, you give away a free T-shirt, the phone rings for 10 minutes. Everybody calling in. So every now and then you got to have a question like this just to let us know, yeah, there's a few people out there. All right, good to know. Big story in sports today, although today is the first day that teams can start placing tags on players in the NFL. It's a 2-week window. It starts today and it ends 2 weeks from today on March 7th. And then the new league year starts Wednesday, March 15th. So it gives teams about 7-8 days to get their house in order from a cap standpoint and then move forward. I don't expect anybody to place the tag on anybody today. In theory, wouldn't you negotiate for 2 more weeks? But I mean, think about who we're talking about here. We're talking about Lamar Jackson.
That's exactly who we're talking about. And these sides don't seem to be any closer, although there's not been a lot of word out of what the negotiations have been, but they were, $100 million apart when this started?
I mean, and either Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley with the Giants. I mean, in terms of the guys, the high-profile positions / guys, okay, really that window opens today. One thinks with the Giants, this will go a very long time because if they actually want to sign one of the two, they then, in theory, could tag the other. But you got to sign the first one. So we think with the Giants, they'll hold out for most of these 14 days. With the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, I mean, don't you pretty soon have to have hey, we got 14 days, Lamar. We don't want to tag you. We've told you for 2 years we don't want to tag you. But you got 14 days. Yay or nay?
Yeah, I don't. Do you see any other conclusion coming from Baltimore other than franchising Lamar Jackson?
No. And to me, though, the interesting factor, and if the Giants end up, it's one thing to tag a running back. I mean, the league, for the most part, thinks they're a dime a dozen. So teams, if Pat Kerwin is right, Mark, that once you tag someone, you essentially are starting divorce proceedings. It's one thing to tag a running back because teams could look at one another and go, well, we could tag him again. That's 7 years. I mean, do we really want him after 7 years? He'll be in his late 20s. We could probably get somebody cheaper. We could probably get 2 guys for less than what we're paying him. So we could move on after 6 or 7 years. But a quarterback's a different story. You got a quarterback. And remember, Lamar's young. Like, Lamar's going to play this year, I think, at 26. Didn't Lamar graduate Louisville at 20? He was there 3 years. I mean, I think Lamar is young. You know, like the Nevis kid from Kentucky is going to play as a 24-year-old rookie. I think Lamar played as like a 21-year-old rookie.
Right, because he was, I mean, that was the whole thing with Bennett being older than Lamar Jackson last year, or, you know, older than a couple of quarterbacks.
Yes, that's, or as old as Lamar.
As old.
You know, right. Stetson turned 25 in November, I think it was, for Georgia. And I think he was as old as Lamar at the time.
Yeah, he's 26.
So, you know, you're thinking, wow, he's still got a lot of years left in him. But then again, he plays a certain way. You know, Mark, and I know we don't have a lot of Giants fans listening, but think about it. Okay. If playing the style of Lamar, Jalen Hurts, remember, you said it with Daniel Jones. Pat Kerwin said it. He needs to run the ball 10 or more times for them to beat the Vikings. Well, if his optimum value is him running the ball 10 plus times a game, well, you're dramatically increasing the odds he's going to get hurt. So do you commit to paying him when the style of play he's going to have to play to earn the contract is most likely going to put him on the injured list?
But it's not like a running back where they're a dime a dozen and you've got two lined up behind him that can go fill in. That's the part that you have to play, is that you basically have to bet on him being able to do that and not get hurt. You have to bet against the odds.
And Lamar has not been able to finish the last 2 seasons. He's missed the last 6 games of each of the last 2 seasons. Not that it matters, but I think public opinion, and I even think public opinion in Baltimore, is going to be on the Ravens' side here. The fan loves Lamar, but the fan's going, dude, first off, we've won 1 playoff game with you. And no offense, we were a lot more successful in the playoffs with all the quarterbacks that came before you. And B, you know, dude, you're missing a third of the year. 32.4 is the cap number for a quarterback. Lamar's looking for Deshaun Watson money, fully guaranteed. That's 46.
And the fully guaranteed part is something the Ravens are not willing to do right now. They will have no interest in going fully guaranteed with Lamar Jackson. That's why they're $100 million apart.
I think both quarterbacks get tagged. And I think both teams start to find their replacements.
Well, if you tag once, the next time usually means a trade, as we talked about. The impending divorce is there with both of these quarterbacks if that's the route they are going.
I mean, what, Cousins is the only quarterback we remember, got tagged twice, and then obviously he could walk, and he did. Hey, didn't turn out well for Washington. I mean, they won 1 division title, but they did it going 7-9. I mean, Cousins turned out to be right, didn't he? At least when it comes to Washington, even though Vikings fans would throw him out on the street.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. We could get Devils Rangers first round too.
Well, I don't see how you're not, unless somebody's going to overtake Carolina, which I don't think is going to happen.
I mean, the first round is going to be amazing.
Amazing. Yeah, Mongo, we're going to try to get Westhoff regularly. I think it'll be either all or nothing with Westhoff. Either the Broncos will literally say to him, "We don't want you doing interviews," or if they'll be like, "Yeah, sure," then he'll come on with us probably every other week. That's right, Yinzer. It was Michigan State, Florida, National Championship Monday.
That was weird. I got a call from Par Media during that last segment. I'm like, what? They didn't leave a message.
I think it was David.
Doubt it. I would think he would just use his cell phone.
Yeah, I would think so too.
He's got the number.
How is Miami a 2-point dog tonight at Virginia Tech?
Disrespectful.
Totally. Remember when they were getting 5 at Carolina last week? I think Miami can go to the Final Four.
You better knock on wood right now. We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. We've had a really good show today, and then the show just exploded because, well, apparently we went with a hot take. We didn't realize it was a hot take. But we're talking chicken wings. It's our poll question. Can a wing be too big? And apparently it can.
But, David, you should feel good. You've increased your lead with more votes. 55% of the vote now says that a chicken wing cannot be too big.
This is frightening, though, that it's this close. It's absolutely frightening. So that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FL Sports Network on Twitter or floridasportsnetwork.com vote.
It's important.
It really is. I just had to end my marriage after nearly 27 years.
Is she aware?
Oh, yeah, I told her right to her face. Well, we're done. All right. Of course, I have to pay for the remodeling probably before we're done, but, you know.
And find a new place to live. So you'll probably be staying for a while.
Right. Although I will say, I mean, physically, she can't remove me. So, you know, I could probably hang out here for a little while the paperwork's being processed.
Just eat some bigger wings. You can probably stay longer.
The funny thing is, I'm pretty sure the daughter will be on my side. I might be able to move in with her. Why are you and Mom getting divorced? Well, she said that a chicken wing can be too big. Okay. Well, we got a spare room for you in the back if you need it.
What if the daughter's on the wife's side, though?
Well, then, honestly, there's really no reason for me to be here.
Has your mom texted in on this question? Because I know she listens. She's one of the silent Twitch watchers.
She does not think a wing can be too big. Okay. But she also has Tuesday as her favorite day of the week. So, she, you know, I mean, her wires don't always touch either. You know, but you take what you can get. Exactly, Hops. You know, the wife and I, we had a good run. I mean, 26, by the time the paperwork's, you know, processed, it'll be 27 years. I mean, you know, that's a good run. No doubt. Did the best I could. But you got to draw the line somewhere. Honestly, I think I'd feel better if she was, you know, sleeping with the garage guy. I really would.
Well, you got to be extra nice to this one so we don't know what's upcoming.
Right. All right. I'm the one paying for the repairs, and I have to be nice to the repairman. Don't understand it. College football's going to go to the NFL clock, or at least we think. I mean, who knows? They may reject the proposal. But there's 4 potential rule changes to try to, well, shave some time off these games. But, of course, Mark, they're doing it for safety. Player safety. No, that's why they want to reduce the number of plays. It has nothing to do with allowing the networks to continue to play their commercials and the band to still be able to play their songs.
2 of the proposals aren't even really worth mentioning. One's not playing no more untimed downs if a penalty happens at the end of the first or the third quarter. It's a non-issue. The other one is multiple timeouts. Consecutive timeouts cannot be called. Yeah, that could be a little bit of an issue when you're icing a kicker, but realistically, that happens pretty infrequently.
Right. I'd say it happens like, you know, we do 15 games a year on CBS. I'd say it happens 5 times. Where either they're icing a kicker and they call them both, or every now and then a team will call a timeout and then screw up the play call and then they have to call a timeout before they snap it again.
But what they are changing or proposing to change is continuing the clock after a first down. Currently, the clock stops until the referee sets the ball. Then they will wind the clock. And you get a good, anywhere from 4 to probably 12, 13 seconds, depending.
Yeah, I would say it's around 10 seconds. So, you add up the number of first downs and what have you. But what is interesting is the data. An NFL game's never been longer also. 3 hours, 12 minutes. That's going up about a minute a year. Well, in the last 5 years, the college football game has gone up a minute a year as well. It's 5 minutes longer now than it was 5 years ago. 3:23 is the average college football game. That includes halftime. The college halftime is 20 minutes. The NFL halftime is 13. So really, the average NFL game of 3:12 is 11 minutes shorter, but 7 of the 11 minutes can be easily documented. It's halftime. Now, the other difference, though, is why it doesn't fit in the window. The NFL kicks off at 01, 101, 401, or if it's the late afternoon game, they kick that sucker off right at 4:25. But when the NFL announces this is our start time, the only game in which the start time is not the start time is the Super Bowl.
And they dragged that sucker out this year.
Boy, did they ever. 6:45, 6:46, something like that was when we kicked off. But as we all know who watch college football, now the noon games start pretty close to noon. They do. ESPN and Fox have their lengthy pregame shows. There's not much more to say. Let's go. The other thing is they want to get that game in the first window because they don't want the second window to be starting late.
But you all know how many times you've went to turn on your 3:30 game and you're watching sometimes damn near an entire quarter of the noon game.
Now, Fox schedules their windows noon, 4, and 8. So they're not as concerned about it as the four-letter network, who also has a lot more games on a lot more networks. So this is a bigger issue for them, and they are still the power broker in the sport. But, I mean, if you think about it, you're going to lose football here. The college fan is going to get less plays if they go with this. We're talking 12 to 14 less snaps per game on offense. And that's not per team. That's total. But if you think about it, that's almost, that's 10 to 12 minutes of game action in terms of, number of snaps. But it's half a quarter. You're going to lose half a quarter of football if they go with these rule changes. I mean, Mark, if they wanted to like Clay Travis's solution was, get rid of the bands and make the TV commercial breaks about 30 seconds shorter and tell the networks you need to charge a little more for your commercials. Now, as somebody who loves college football the way he does, he has to know that those two things are completely off the table.
The other proposal, which is on the table, however, is a radical change. And that is starting the clock after an incomplete pass.
They don't even do that in the NFL.
They don't do it anywhere in football.
No, that's soccer.
The XFL hasn't come up with a proposal that's zany, David.
That qualifies as zany? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
That's out there. Come on. Of all the times we've talked about rule changes, when have you heard of someone saying, let's roll the clock after an incomplete pass?
I have to admit, I've never even thought of that, and I've wanted to shorten games for 15 years. But literally, if they just had 3:30 games kick off at 3:31 like the NFL, you'd save 7 to 10 minutes on the 3:30 games right there.
I don't think CBS is interested in that.
Well, no, they're not interested, but this is where college football could dictate the rules.
To the people that are paying them?
Mm-hmm. They could.
It usually doesn't work that way.
It usually doesn't, but let's face it, the conferences have the power here if they want. The conferences did get together and come up with a uniform halftime, 20 minutes, not a second more. Bands, networks, get it done. Because some conferences were allowing up to 24 minutes. And so they came up a couple years ago and made it uniform, 20 minutes. I mean, Mark, as you know, you've been there, you've witnessed it, and I've told you some of the stories. I mean, it's not like these conferences haven't dictated things to the networks before. You really don't think they could dictate start times? Miller and Moulton.
The waterways of Naples are a beauty to behold, and the Bayfront Inn has multiple ways for guests to enjoy the water and have some fun. Gather your family and friends and enjoy a leisurely day on the water with a pontoon or deck boat. If you prefer to explore the waterways without a motor, the Bayfront has canoes, standboards, and kayaks. At the end of your journey, enjoy lunch or dinner at the Bamboo Tropical Bar and Grill. The Bayfront Inn. Something for everyone. On 5th Avenue in Naples.
Located on the East Trail, locally owned Naples Tiki Bar and Grill is an outdoor eatery next to the Hitching Post Shopping Center. Island-inspired food with a true tiki theme. The best place in Naples to enjoy the beautiful weather in Southwest Florida. The Naples Tiki Bar and Grill offers a great menu for dine-in or takeout. Enjoy our famous pulled pork, huge burgers, and tiki bar cocktails. Don't miss happy hour every day from 3 to 6 and live music 7 days a week. See you soon at the Naples Tiki Bar and Grill, 11498 Tamiami Trail East.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
My mother took exception to me saying the wires don't always touch.
I kind of figured they did.
And I told her, I said, that's only about Tuesdays. Okay, that's only about your view on Tuesdays. You're way too high on Tuesdays. And of course, she said a chicken wing cannot be too big. So,
well, at least she can still be your mom.
Well, exactly. And, I still have someplace to live. Mom, I may be coming home. Because apparently I can't stay here. Not unless I'm extra nice.
54-46. Favor of the nose.
So when you give me the results throughout the day, just put my answer first. So I know if I'm winning or losing. Like 54-46, I'm winning.
I think you're in pretty good shape.
I don't know. Very concerned.
But I know Felipe hasn't voted yet. He didn't.
Right. No, I voted. I voted yes.
Girlfriend hasn't voted yet, right?
I don't think, but her vote verbally is yes. Does Maddie like chicken wings? What's her vote?
She doesn't like chicken wings.
Mm.
She doesn't like crispy food. I think it's an 8-year-old, teeth thing.
Oh, true. Yeah. Good point.
Today was a pretty noteworthy day.
15 seconds.
Why?
Oh, just in terms of things going on today.
Really?
Yeah.
I got nothing. I must have missed a ton.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes until the top of the hour, 17 until we're out of here. The bonus hour of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Make sure you vote in our poll question on this Fat Tuesday. Can a chicken wing be too big? Yes or no? Mark's a yes, because apparently they can then be dried out. I'm a, you got to be kidding me. No flipping way.
I have the place for you, not too far from here. They have a large chicken wing. Next time you're in town, we'll go on a chicken wing tour. And you can then tell me if the wing that I prefer at a normal size is then better than this drumstick with
Once
sauce
again,
on it.
that's not the question. The question is, can it be too big? You can make the case that this wing is better than this one, but you have to make the case that the one, it's not good. Why is it not good? It's too big.
Too big.
That's impossible. So there you have it. I'm bringing wings home for my wife, who agrees with you, by the way, that a wing can be too big. Okay. So I'm going to sit in front of her, having gotten my hair cut over a week ago, and she still hasn't noticed, and I'm going to eat wings. Mm-hmm.
Hasn't noticed in a week?
No.
It only took me 2 days.
Well,
I beat your wife. Because I thought we got our hair cut on the same day, and you're like, I got my haircut too. And I'll tell you what, nothing honks Moulton off more than to compliment him on a haircut days after the cuts happened. Apparently, you have to be, that has to be very punctual with your haircut compliments.
I am so aware of anything that my wife does to, as she likes to say, beautify. okay, anything, I am completely aware of it and comment immediately, hey, hair looks good, or got your nails done. Did you get your feet and toes done? Okay, absolutely. I mean, hell, Mark, when she tweezes the damn eyebrows, which is a joke, okay, talk about a ripoff. That's absurd. Okay, but I'm like, oh, you look good. Yeah, I got him. Yeah, whatever. All right, that's $20 we can't get back.
This therapy session brought to you by Miller and Moulton.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
I feel like I've left a lot off this. You said a lot happened today, and when I did this yesterday, I didn't see it. But Karl Marx publishes the Communist Manifesto today in 1848.
That was big at the time. Big.
1904, the National Ski Association forms in Ishpeming, Michigan. 1925, the first issue of the New Yorker is published. 1931, we went plop, plop, fizz, fizz for the first time. Alka-Seltzer is introduced. 1948, NASCAR is incorporated.
Think about it, 75 years ago today. Hot damn.
70 years ago today was the longest collegiate basketball game of the time. 6 overtimes as Niagara beat Siena 88-81. Malcolm X was shot and killed today in 1965.
Wife and 4 daughters sitting in the front row watched it happen.
Today in 72, Nixon becomes the first president to visit China.
Things have gone so well, right?
Right.
Okay.
1980, Haydn wins his 4th of his 5th gold medals, this one in the 1500. Today in 89, Pete Rose meets with Commissioner Uberoth to discuss his gambling.
Which he said, what are you talking about?
The Bill Maher show, Real Time with Bill Maher, debuted today in 2003. That show's been on the air for 20 years.
It's getting a lot more attention in the last few years because he, even though he's admittedly very liberal, he is taking on his own party, which, used to be how it was on both sides. You actually challenged your own party. Now, apparently, you're a blankety blank if you challenge your own party. You just have to fall right in line.
2016, the 58th 500, Denny Hamlin wins the closest finish in race history, beating Martin Truex. And 2 years ago today, Joker wins his 9th Australian. Those born today that are no longer with us, Dr. Jack Ramsey, Nina Simone, and Alan Rickman. Those that are celebrating birthdays today, David Geffen is 80, Bob Ryan is 77, Kelsey Grammer 68, Alan Trammell 65, Jennifer Love Hewitt is 44, and Braylon Edwards is 40. And I feel like I missed a lot. What did I miss, David?
No, actually, you ended up covering, you gave me the impression nothing was going on today. You covered a lot of ground there. The only one I'll throw in there, Dolly Parton reaches number 1 with 9 to 5. 42 years ago today in 1981.
I'll say it. It's a good movie.
You like the song? Snappy, peppy?
The song Snappy. It's a good soundtrack song.
Okay. So that's all. Anytime you can mention Dolly Parton, who's amazing.
Worthwhile.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good, we go to Naples. Jude Santacandro weighed in at 540 pounds. And he knew he had to make a change in life. He began walking the stairwell at the Collier County parking garage where his barbershop was. Every evening after work, he'd climb the stairs, began noticing results. He's skinnier than I am now, a few 100 pounds later. It all started by walking the stairs. And Jude, you can make that kind of move. That's good enough for us.
When did he start?
David, it's a bad article because I don't have a start date and I don't have the amount of weight that he lost. but there's a picture of him, and he's a skinny man now, and he weighed 540 pounds.
Just curious how long it took. When did he start? But that's awesome. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
Have a chicken wing.
Just don't make it too big.
No, big. Honestly, 12 jumbo. Go nuts.
For the bad, we go to South Carolina, where a woman in South Carolina tried to have $180,000 of blow delivered to her house.
Who do you call for that? UPS?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. But the Lancaster County Sheriff's Department got a tip about a parcel of cocaine being shipped to a home. Quenisha Mangio, 28-year-old, had the 6.5 pounds of Peruvian marching powder delivered to her home, where she was arrested by authorities. Finally, the ugly. We go to Altamont Springs, Florida, where Amari Hendricks is charged with aggravated assault. David, she was in the drive-thru at McDonald's.
Uh-oh.
When she started arguing with one of the employees about getting her free cookie. She was entitled to a free cookie. When she didn't get her cookie, she pulled out her gun.
Whoa, come on now.
Apparently, she was given the free cookie. She began to argue, and at that point, she pulled out her handgun while in the drive-thru. They called 911. The lady pulled forward and then tried to get into the McDonald's. She didn't bring the gun with her, thank goodness. But she was arrested for carrying the loaded weapon in the car for a cookie at McDonald's. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, February the 21st, 2023.
Do we know what kind of cookie? Just kidding. Okay, not that it would make a difference. It was attempted humor there, that's all. I mean, because listen, you and I used to attend the press conferences, all right, for the shootout, because at Tiburon, I don't know what they do. I don't know if they make those cookies or they get them shipped in or what have you, but those cookies are like discus. They're so big and so amazing. And we would get up and do things at hours. We would get up and never do things forward just for the cookies.
Yeah, Norman always thought it was to interview him. It was really for the cookies.
And we had to make a key decision. Could we eat one of the two cookies before doing the interview, or did we have to wait? And we would normally do a 20, 30-minute interview. So the cookies would be sitting there just talking to us the whole time we're talking to Norman.
Lightning at home tonight, taking on the Ducks. If you thought Florida was favored yesterday playing Anaheim, the Lightning are minus 530.
Oh, my goodness.
Second consecutive game for Anaheim on the road. Minus 530 for a regular season NHL hockey game. That is absolutely crazy.
Don't you have to throw a few shekels on the Ducks? I mean, they're probably going to lose 6-1, but I mean, come on, 530? That's amazing.
Nuts.
Talking about amazing, Miami Hurricanes are damn near a top 10 team in the country. They're in second place in the ACC by half a game. They have a winning road record. Nobody has a winning road record in big-time college basketball anymore. And when they lose on the road, they've lost their last 3 road games by 2, 2, and 3 points. Virginia Tech's like 9th or 10th in the ACC. Miami's a 2-point dog in Blacksburg tonight.
It's a really good night of college basketball, by the way.
It's a great night.
Xavier's hosting Nova at the 6:30 Big East game. They're a 4.5-point favorite in that. Baylor takes on Kansas State, both ranked. Baylor's a 1.5-point favorite on the road. A little under the radar game for you, David. Akron at Toledo. One of these two teams is going to win the MAC. Toledo's favored by 4. They're both pretty good. Tennessee's at Texas A&M. A&M's a 1-point favorite.
A&M is ranked. A&M went on the road and beat Missouri over the weekend.
Marquette and Creighton, the doubleheader of that Big East game. Creighton's a 5.5-point favorite at home. Michigan State hosts Indiana. Indiana's ranked. Sparty's a 3-point favorite. First home game since the shooting at Michigan State. They played Michigan on the road on Saturday. And Iowa State travels to Texas. Texas is a 7.5-point favorite between two ranked teams in Austin.
So 4 matchups of ranked teams, 2 of them in the Big 12 tonight. No NBA till Thursday. All-Star break. Either that or just load management. The guys got together and said, we're not playing. There. Deal with it.
It is a hell of an all-star break they get.
Well, it's been negotiated. It's in the CBA. Remember, up until recently, LeBron and Chris Paul were president and vice president of the NBA Players Association there, So they were in the game every year. And they decided we didn't get enough break. But think about it. If you're not an all-star, you get a week. There were 3 games on the Thursday heading into all-star game, and there's like 3 games on the Thursday coming out. Remember when Romo, during the bye week in the playoffs, him and Witten went to Cabo during the playoffs because they had so much time? You could be a really good NBA player and go spend 5 days in Cabo.
Jimmy Butler's doing that in some remote island in the Bahamas.
Yeah. Can't blame him.
Not one bit.
He could not care less about the All-Star game. I love it.
Neither could the Western Conference head coach Mike Malone.
What did he say? It's the worst basketball game ever played?
Ever. Yes.
Think he gets a letter from the league for that one? Or a phone call?
I think they hope he's never in position to be one of the 2 head coaches ever again. Well, listen, his star player, Jokic, nobody wanted him. 2-time reigning MVP, might win 3 in a row. Okay, the likes of which, Bird, Magic, and others have done. He'll be one of the handful of guys in the history of the league who have ever won 3 straight MVPs. But in the type of game they played over the weekend, nobody wanted him.
He even said it himself. He's like, oh, I don't blame him. I'm not built for this type of game.
Well, there was no set plays.
Right.
So his passing abilities diminished a little bit.
Exactly.
There's no pick and rolls because you'd have to have defense in order to have a pick and roll.
It was funny because him and Joel Embiid were on the same team. Him and Joel ran a pick and roll. Imagine that. 2 7-footers running a pick and roll.
So there you go. Listen, I'm all over the Canes tonight. All over. This could be the second time in 10 seasons, by the way, Larranaga wins the ACC regular season title. That's pretty amazing. Miller and Moulton. Hump Day edition tomorrow. We'll see you then. Have a great day.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again,